Hi, my name's Courtney Prince, and last year I competed in Porsche Carrera Cup with BWT. Today I've been on the sims with the OG race gear. I love the new gloves. They're really breathable and awesome, so you don't get sweaty hands using your normal race gloves on the sim. The socks are also really good. You don't get sore feet on the sim. I also think in training they'll be really handy as well.
The dawn of a brand new series now bursts itself into life here with the Moza Racing Porsche Pro Invitational. We start with the home of the Porsche Experience Centre down on its infield, a circuit that has seen a lot of great racing over its time. It is the Hockenheimring here in Baden-Württemberg in Germany. Welcome one and all to what will be one of the most hard-fought, hard-nosed racing series that you can find on the esports platform here in Oceania. My name's Jake Sperry. Zach Cavan is alongside with me for today's action. And Zach, what a joy it is to be here and getting this virtual racing kicked off with these brand new Porsche 911 992.2 Cup cars.
Exactly right, Jake. Good evening to you. Good evening, everybody. A lot of excitement around this, mate. As soon as it was announced, it was instant madness in terms of people reaching out saying, how do I sign up? Where do I sign up? I want to be involved and I want to have a piece of this. And you and I have been around the traps here in the sim racing circles for quite some time. I can't recall, and we had the GT Pro Invitational last year, of course. This has made way for the Porsche Pro Invitational Series this year, mate. I can't recall in the history of Australian sim racing a field as heavily stacked with talent as this. We have got both quality and quantity bursting at the seams tonight, and we've got the best seat in the house.
We absolutely do. We'll get a really good chance to take a look wherever you may be watching, be it you're watching us with the Australian Sim Racing Group, be it that you're watching with us on SimSpeed TV, or whether you are watching us then over at Speed Cafe. This will be some amazing action. Here's your schedule and your distances that are there alongside it. So we've got a lot to cover between now and December when we hit the Adelaide Street Circuit for the 70 kilometres triple header that'll be going through. But there's a very lovely range of different types of circuit. We've got shorter, more technical circuits out there on the calendar, and then you've got some of the long tracks out there. Of course, you've got the Fable Mount Panorama, but you've got the likes of the Circuit Day 24-hour Du Mans, and then you're looking around at what is a very good run into the end of the season. Miami into Imola into Adelaide.
Some of the great endurance racing circuits on the schedule. You mentioned it off the top there, mate. Circuit de 24 Le Mans, Spa, of course, the next stop on the calendar in 3 weeks' time, and, of course, our own Mount Panorama. The interesting one for mine in all of that, the Miami International Autodrome. There hasn't been a hell of a lot of warmth and love for that circuit on the iRacing server just yet from my experience. Of course, we've got our triple treat of home circuits right there in the middle. The Mount Panorama round is the lead into that enormous week that will climax with the Supercar 1000 for the Australian Sim Racing Group platforms as well, mate. Phillip Island always produces good Porsche racing, but as you can see there on the right-hand side of your screen, ladies and gentlemen, they are the kilometre distances of each of the races. There was some pre-season discussion about having one race like what we do with the supercars for most of the season, but we've done something different here, distinctly different from what we had with GT Pro. This is out-and-out sprint racing, including those two super sprints in both round 6 and round 12, and I don't think we could have picked two better circuits for that. 3 different continents, 26 races. Bring it on.
It's going to be absolutely awesome, and we're going to get an understanding of it. Now, this is just how difficult it has been to get yourself into the Motor Racing Porsche Pro Invitational. They had to combine the times over from both Rudskogen and Oschersleben, the Norwegian and German-based tracks, and the top 40, there was less than a second separating those who got themselves in. But critically, there are 5 wildcard entries that have been allowed to be added, and that's due to various experiences that have been had in the real world or affiliations with ASRG. So you look around at Dylan O'Keefe, the reigning Porsche Carrera Cup Australia champion, Jack Whittis, who is a fantastic mechanic when it comes to Porsches. You look at Tom Bewley and Brock Gilchrist, who also have raced against Dylan O'Keefe, and critically, Scott Rankin, who has been very quick along with us here and in the commentary booth over on the supercar side. But Zach, I can't think of 5 more worthy wildcards here for a championship like this.
No, absolutely not. And our commentary colleague knows that he's going to be thrown under the bus on multiple occasions throughout the course of the season, but he's looking forward to the challenge, and we're looking forward to seeing how he performs because, all jokes aside, and it is April Fool's Day, we might point out, he is a very handy steerer. We've seen this on multiple occasions in the past. He had a very good run, of course, with the Orbit Drop There Motorsport stable, his team, of course, that he's lining up with for this season. In the OSR Bathurst 12-hour recently, and he'll be looking to convert that sort of pace and form into sprint racing mode here. You mentioned Dylan O'Keefe and Tom Bewley, of course. Bewley, 3rd place in the Porsche Michelin Sprint Challenge Australia Series last year in the real world. Dylan O'Keefe, the reigning Carrera Cup champion in this country. So you're right. Some magnificent talent on show here. And again, it'll be interesting to see, like what we say with the Supercar Pro Invitational, how the real world stars compare to the next crop of sim racing talent in this country.
Well, here's a look at the Hockenheimring for those who haven't seen it before. Its last alteration was in 2002, where they took themselves away from going all the way into the forest and back, creating a much easier circuit to go and work with. But there are still challenges out of the Bernie Eccleston curve at turn 2, through the Parabolica and up to the Spitzkehrer, which is now one of the tightest hairpins in all of motorsport. It can reach a top speed of about 270 kilometers per hour out then on this run of a track. Clockwise is 16 turns, but Zach, critical fact is going to be, this is a track that now blends old school with new school. You've got that newer section as you come out from turn 2 all the way to turn 10, but then you have the old, almost, I would say, monolithic style of that infield to end the lap through the Sachs curve to the Sud curve.
That's exactly right, and it's great that we've been able to keep some of the old Hockenheim that we knew and loved pre-2002, mate. This goes from being very much a horsepower circuit to now being a bit more technical, relying on racecraft, and in tonight's particular instance as well, mate, you talk about the key opportunity being overtaking down there at turn number 6. The boys are going to have to get their elbows out and maybe a little bit inventive with regards to how they're going to work their way through the field, because we're going to invert the top 10 results from race 1 for the grid for race 2. So it'll be interesting to see, and there it is on your screen there, ladies and gentlemen, the format for tonight. The 20-minute qualifying session coming up 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 5 o'clock on the West Coast, 10 o'clock in New Zealand. 16 laps for race 1. Obviously, qualifying sets the grid for that. invert top 10 for the second race as well. That's a nice clean number, I think. If you were to go any more than that, you'd be asking for trouble, and race control don't want to do any overtime if they don't have to tonight. 73.19 kilometres for race 1, 100.63 for race 2. But yes, you are going to have to get the elbows out and invent some overtaking opportunities there, mate. This is not a circuit that lends itself to smooth, flowing, easy opportunities for overtaking, which is where racecraft comes into it. But strategy goes out the door tonight, because this is out and out, lights out to flag racing. There's no trends of the pit lane required as per the supplementary regulations. If you have to come in, that's to your own detriment.
It is, so you're going to have to be keeping an eye out on there. We do have some substitutes in today, so no Lachlan Capel, no Tice Hodge, and no Kane Ryder to start out this season run, but we will have in place Luke Swan, Stefan McCartain, and Jackson Raihana then to jump in and say, look, we're going to fill that spot. We're going to have ourselves an opportunity, basically with no pressure, Zach, here, with about 4 minutes remaining in practice, to say we're going to have a good go and we're going to be out there. And this is the driver to beat right now. Fastest in practice in the Falcon Sim Racing, number 56, Damon Woods, lightning fast, had himself some top split running at Sebring at the weekend for the iRacing 12 hours. So someone who knows what it takes to be a 1%er when it comes to sim racing.
Exactly. Absolutely dominated, along with the rest of the squad that he ran with last year, of course, over there at Vermilion. The GT Pro Invitational that we had in 2025. He's now looking, of course, to come out and back it up, but in a different form of racing. And it's interesting too, because right throughout the pre-qual into the opening practice here for the new season, he has been the man to beat. He goes in with the target on his back, but that lays down the benchmark. That lays down the platform and the gauntlet for everybody else to try and strive towards. What will be interesting again is how he weaves his way through the pack in race 2, assuming that he can convert qualifying pace into a race 1 victory, etc. and so forth. He'll be working his way through from 10th. There's nothing to suggest that he can't do that, but there'll be a lot of people trying to prevent him any which way they can, because precious championship points are at stake. Just on your point with regards to the absentees tonight, unfortunate for Lachlan Capel, as we ride on board here with Corey Lazarus in 31st position. That guy is an absolute weapon behind the wheel of a Porsche. I'll be interested to get his thoughts on how he's handling the 992.2 compared to the 992.1. He had great success over on the platforms of the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club in their leagues all through last year. And of course, he's been trying his hand in European sim racing as well. Lachlan Capel, unfortunate not to see him on the grid. He was, of course, the opening winner of the GT Pro Invitational last season with Hayden Veld. And anyone that misses a spot around along the way, that kind of makes it hard for them. Yeah, that sure, they'll turn up and they'll be able to run caution of the wind and not have to think about the championship implications, but it's unfortunate for their season to start this way, knowing that they're not probably going to factor in the championship picture when we get to the streets of Adelaide on the first Wednesday of December.
Yeah, we're getting word that it will be a university event that Lachlan Capel's at, so that's why he's not there. There's your track conditions, and oh my, it is bitterly cold out there here today. It's an in-sim time just looking over towards 9 o'clock, a 19-degree air and track temperature, Zach. So these drivers, quickest conditions, most oversteery conditions.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how everybody combats that. They'll be working through the motions here. But what they've also got to take into consideration, Jake, is that as the day goes on, the qualifying time is going to be later into the morning. Then we get into the afternoon for races 1 and 2. Track conditions are going to change. They're going to have to be thinking on their toes. They're going to have to be thinking about what the car and how it's going to respond to those variable and changing track conditions throughout the course of the day. That's not a straightforward equation as well. That will catch 1 or 2 drivers out, I suspect, when we get into qualifying a little bit later on.
Yeah, we're only about 35 seconds away now from the end of practice, so qualifying is soon about to get itself into play. But Zach, let's talk qualifying here for a moment, because this is what you don't often get to see out there. It's going to be 20 minutes on the clock, best time is going to get yourself over, but critically, you're out there on track, and you can't do the old sim racing thing of, oh, my lap time at turn 5 wasn't quite what I wanted. I'll pull over, and I will get myself a brand new lap by resetting the car. You're out there. You got to drive it back to pits if you want another go.
Exactly right, and that's one of the great features of the ASRG sim racing experience, mate. We've seen this through supercars now, of course. We've had it with GT. We now have it with Porsche, and even our sprint car series as well, as we adopt strategies and procedures and regulations that make this as close to a real-world experience as you could possibly get without actually being physically trackside yourself. So let's talk about a couple of things here. We're looking at the lap times around the Hockenheimring. We're about 95, 96-second laps here. Let's say that you have a clean green run as qualifying does get underway. You're talking about 3 laps every 4.5, 4.75 minutes. But we know it's not going to be clean cut. You're going to have to find either someone to work with or go it alone. Track real estate is going to be at a premium considering how congested it's going to be with 44 cars out there. You're going to have to weigh it up and work on conditions as well, because they will change throughout the course of the session. Maybe it will be beneficial to time your run and run the gauntlet at the very end of the session. So yes, mistakes will be costly, but they're not deadly, if that makes sense. You, as you say, you can get it back to pit lane. If you can get it back under your own steam, if you crash, different story, you're probably done for the session. But if you can get back to pit lane, reset, go again, try and put it to the back of your mind and just focus on getting a number down. And a lot of these guys can lay down a good lap time. We saw that through pre-qualifying, but it'll be interesting to see who the good racers are here as well. I don't know about you, Jake, but I was always a better racer than qualifier, and I'm sure there are other drivers in this 44 car field that can relate to that.
There are some qualifying specialists out there who will get up and effectively Jarno Trulli their way through and block up the field out there off the start. Here there was a look at Zach Rattray-White as he gears himself up now for a flying lap in the middle of the pack and getting ready. He was looking to get then a little bit of tyre life sorted in, get some heat in the tyres as we go on board for the lap with Eclipse Simsport. Over to the Ravenol curve here at turn number 1, over this inside curve. Be very careful about how wide you go on the left-hand side, and now as the track funnels to 2 wide at best through a little section, now find the lane at the Bernie Eccleston turn here at turn 2. Work for a late apex exit, and then you're immediately sucker punched into turns 3 and 4. Now this is where you need the drive and where flat out is required, because this long parabolica forces you to have a tiny bit of rotation, a chance to think, a chance to breathe as you head yourself over towards the Spitzkehrer. Turn number 6, jam on the brake, try not to lock up the rears here as you go down to just 52 kilometers an hour. Get the rotation in the car, and again, work now for this middle sector. Through turn 7 and looking for turn 8. It's only a 90-degree left-hander here at turn number 8, but because it's such a tight profile of a corner, it feels like a hairpin as you jump on in. You've then got this immediate medium speed switchback, 140 kilometers an hour here through the right-hander. Easy to understeer out of 9. We see that there with one car there on the left-hand side. That was Lewis Greathead who was off the road, but in through past the Porsche Experience Centre, and now you see the old concourse grandstand here into the Sachs curve, banked on the inside. So you're trying to carry as much medium corner speed as you can. Flick it through the left, flick it through the right, and now you've got these 2 corners here of the Sud curve. You've got the drag strip on the left-hand side. You've got this final run out of the corner. Careful of the gravel as you now look to make the drive. First times now starting to be found on the board. A 138 flat from Zach Rattray-White is good enough for 4th place currently.
And Hayden Veld, the early foundations laid at the top of the order, 137.709, beautifully illustrated and verbally discoursed lap from you there, Jake. But everything went right there for Zach Rattray-White, didn't it? He might not necessarily be happy with the time. He'll reset, go again. But no one tripped up in front of him, no obstructions, no balks, no hurdles that he had to sort of evade or avoid. So you can't ask for much more than that. You can only do so much out there. You've got no control whatsoever over what the other 43 lunatics around you are going to get up to. But everyone's focused with the task at hand. The one thing that they're all got in common at the moment is they're trying to put a number down at banker. And if they want to reset and go again, absolutely. Some, I dare say, will look at the first lap time and think, okay, we're good here. We'll park it for a little bit. We'll weigh up our options. But there will be a couple of drivers that will opt to do 2 or 3 hot laps here before they park it. Scotty Rankin was saying to us earlier in the day that you're looking at a sweet spot of around 3 or 4 laps. So it'll be interesting to see who has done their homework and who nails it accordingly. Damon Woods using all the real estate a little bit more as he goes across the line to complete his first flying lap as well.
Well, bang, he'll go 6/10 clear of the field with that effort. His first lap didn't count, and so his second one is absolutely ace. Rick Kuznetsov now to a 37.2, but they are building up. There is the number 1 of Dylan O'Keefe, who now looks to try and show that just because he can win out there in full metal racing here, Zach, doesn't mean he can't compete here when he turns to the simulator.
Exactly, and how many of the real-world drivers have turned to this platform in recent years to hone their craft, to get some seat time, to stay match fit. So Dylan O'Keefe getting some extra miles here with us that really, until he gets to Phillip Island, Mount Panorama and the Australian rounds of the series have no correlation to racing in the real world, of course, with him going around in 2026. It'll be interesting to see if he ever pursues opportunities overseas, of course, in Porsche racing. But at least there's something to be said about race time and just going through the motions and staying match fit. And this is one great avenue. Again, it's so freely at our disposal. We've got so much leverage here. You just walk down the corridor in your own house, into the man cave, and there you are. The world's your oyster. We are so lucky to have so many real-world experienced drivers coming and honing their craft and staying match fit in the sim world. And of course, Dylan O'Keefe is one of 2 on the grid tonight. Tom Bewley, the other, that immediately come to mind. And already Dylan O'Keefe showing good pace, but he's got a little bit of work to do if he wants to be in the same realm of discussion as someone like Damon Woods, who is well clear at this point in time.
Well, Reese going up to 3rd with that 137.1. He had a massive wiggle off of the final corner there, trying to hold on to what he could. Dean Mackay then hoping to jump on up as well as he gears up for a flying lap attempt. And believe it or not, we're nearly almost halfway through. Danny Davidson going 3rd. There is Hayden Bell, and you can see the remnants of what his pre-match ritual was there on the left-hand side. Zach, he had a very nice subway.
Yes, exactly. He was eating fresh, if you don't mind me saying. At least he had dinner. I settled for lunch this afternoon. I might have supper after the broadcast. But yes, he was enjoying it and lapping it up when the cameras turned to him in the pre-broadcast preparations as well. Veld will be one to watch. One of a very strong stable tonight. But Damon Woods again, still a cut above. Hugo Allen giving good chase here at the moment, only 0.07 away from Damon Woods. Nobody else has come within earshot of that. Quick mention too, you mentioned Danny Davison in 3rd spot. Let's just give him a shout out, and there's a couple of others along the line here as well. Sebastian Eskandari, Sam Chapman, and a few others that come to mind that we need to mention are doing the double this week. So last night they competed for their respective clubs over in the Australian Open World Nationals event at the Bend. Well done to Chapo. He's a 3-time winner of that event now. But then they've quickly had to get out of open wheel mode and focus and rezone and go for that tin top setup in preparation for the Porsche Pro Invitational. So it's a juggling act, but one that I'm sure they're enjoying the challenge of.
That looked like I'm going to abandon that at turn 1 lap as the Million Esports car of Jacob O'Reilly now trying to move up. Antal Sabo up to 2nd position, then Damon Wood being challenged as it currently stands and heading then towards the line. It's going to be for Jacob O'Reilly, a 37.4. There's massive accidents through turn one. Jordan Malcolm has had a massive shunt up there. There was a car that was turned around in front, and I think he's absolutely straight on caught Jed Van Hemert, who was turned around waiting for the run to go through. And I think both of their races might just be teed and totaled.
And this is the problem as well. You can see Van Hemert trying to get back going there, but look at the traffic left and right. He can't find some clean space. There's the entry point and the trip up for the Vermilion entry. And you're going to arrive blind on site here. Wait for it, ladies and gentlemen. 3, 2, crunch. Front end gone. Oh, and trying to get out of the road as well. The 32 has just ended up being absolutely cleaned up. And here's Damon Woods now coming across the start-finish line. So there's a couple of things to analyse there. If that was real world, red flags, everyone back to pit lane, clock keeps ticking down, and you suck the life out of the qualifying session. We don't have that in the sim world. But if they can't get back to the lane under their own steam here, Jake, they've got a request for a tow from race control, at which point their session is done. It's imperative that they, once they can find some clear air there, to pull back out of the traffic. And we're just being told it gets worse, and you're going to see this on the replay in just a moment. Same point of the circuit. Yes, it is.
Straight across. No. That is a no-no out there. If you've got a car that's that damaged, you've got to pull it over to the side of the road, and you're going to get dinged for that every single day, and twice here on Wednesday night. So that is a real big no-no, to go across a live racing circuit with a damaged car. And Zach, I think we both understand that from at least a real-world perspective, that you cannot do that, and you need a lot more out there of, I would say, calm to go and deal with that, because that was just, I'm not thinking, has that first hit and then thinks, oh, I can drive this back and keep my qualifying alive.
Yeah, so it's interesting because the 35 and the 32, Malcolm has ended up there only about 50 metres down the road from the point of contact with the 32, and the rejoin is what's tripped him up. So again, I was only talking about it before it unfolded. That's 3 cars that have been totaled. We're only 12 minutes into qualifying. It's disastrous for those guys, race control, doing paperwork before the race even gets going. I'm sure they'll be thrilled at that. Highlight the sarcasm there, ladies and gentlemen. But this is the point. We were only just mentioning it's important as you're rejoining the racetrack to treat it like real world. You've got to wait for that gap in the traffic, and that's where spotters come in incredibly handy, of course. Whether everybody's got a spotter in their corner or not tonight, I'm not entirely sure. We know that they're allowed, but there's obviously been a communications breakdown there that's resulted in Jordan Malcolm coming back out a little bit sooner than he should have, and he'll probably wear the wrath of that, unfortunately. Not a way that he would have wanted to start his campaign. It's a long road back from there, and whilst all this plays out, the session stays green, and we're riding on board now with Dylan O'Keefe, looking to improve on 41st. He's not going to 43rd. It's not going to be this time round, but he is now on a flying lap and heading through turn 1, which is now all clear.
It very much is. So that will get pulled out of it again in terms of what he's hoping for. So he's backing out now because he's gone wide at turn 1. He's picked up an off-track incident point, and you have to set a clean lap without any of that. Harry Lawrence down there at the moment at 1.6 seconds adrift. So you turn around, you look at where the field stands. Damon Woods in control by a quarter of a second. Hugo Allen in second. It's then Reese Wakefield, Antar Sabo, and Zach Rattray-White, with Dean Mackay, Jack Widders, Danny Davison, Sebastian Eskandari, and Corey Lazarus. Your top 10 as it currently stands. And critically, this is the chance where you get to re-look at it there. 37.1 from Damon Woods as he then looks to start gearing back up with the fresh set of tyres that are on. Effectively, you only get 2 runs in the 20 minutes because the tyres take so long to go and gain the temperature.
Exactly right. 3 or 4 laps is that sweet spot, and we're at that point in the session where if you want to go green all the way through to the checkered flag, Jake, you've got about 3 or 4 laps, no more than 4, left in your run here. Here's Jackson Rayhana, one of the wildcard reserve entries for tonight, representing the Summit Sim Sports stable. He was unlucky last night in the Australian Open World Nationals as well, ended up on his lid on the final lap. Oh dear. It's been very interesting so far. It's been frantic, it's been fierce, it's been intense, and this is only the first of 12 qualifying sessions this season, ladies and gentlemen. So this is an indication of the sort of intensity you're in for on a Wednesday night when you join us for the Moza Porsche Pro Invitational. Denny Davison in the top 10 at the moment. Luke Swan there in 16th, coming back up onto the main straight. Another one of the invited drivers in the grid tonight from the 9.5 Sim Sports table. He's gone 16th, but only 0.63 off the pace. Top 35 by 0.844. We talked about that in the lead up, didn't we, Jake? The margin, the fine margin between first and 40th, making the cut and not in this series. 0.939 of a second. We're 0.8 of a second to where Sam Chapman was on that totem pole just a few moments ago. I think it was 35th, was it not?
Yeah, so you're talking about how different the gap is out there, and another one in trouble at turn one, and that is a big old wreck that we're going to see once again, and troubles for Corey Lazarus, who just pushes a bit too hard out there and finds that it'll be 12th at best then for him. His qualifying session over and done with. Zach Rattray-White improved to second, and Byron Pierce having a great time in the 5:06. He found the time up to fifth. Here's the OG gear replay then into turn number one. Catches curve on the inside, and he's beveled that curve. It all funnels to the middle to try and get the standing surface water out with the drain that runs through the middle of the curb sack, and it's creating havoc for the Michelin tyres.
And this is the problem, isn't it? We were talking earlier about where the trip-up points might be on the opening lap, and we're all highlighting the hairpin at the end of the back straight. But they've now got to get through turn one and turn two first. And based on what we're seeing thus far, hold your breath and brace yourself for turn one by the looks of this. Everyone will be aware of this during qualifying, and they're on the absolute limit now, trying to lay the numbers down. But we know what turn one, lap one can do to the mindsets of all the drivers in the cockpit once the red mist descends and the lights go out. So turn one is going to be a huge point of interest. Hopefully common sense prevails, and they'll all, caution will be the better part of valor there, and they'll work their way through. But I'm bracing for carnage at one based on what we're seeing in qualifying. Damon Woods.
Remember as well, you've got to keep an eye out here on what the times are doing, because by the time the clock hits zero, we're in a heat race format here on iRacing, which means there is no case of you see the checkered flag, you can finish the lap you're on. If you see the checkered flag, that is it. So we are into the 2-minute warning out there in this one. Ryan Jones down in 33rd position right now. He's going to need to find a very good amount of time. He backs off of it, so he'll get another lap. 2/10 is enough for 20 places, it'll feel like, for him.
Absolutely right, and this is the point. You highlighted it. Based on the times we're seeing thus far, the benchmark 136.604, if you're not back at the start-finish line by a minute 37 to go in the session, so that's a minute and 10 seconds from now, that's it. Your next lap will be your last. But there'll be a couple of guys that'll be trying to time their runs so that they're landing at the start-finish line at maybe a minute 45, a minute 40 to go. No later than that, because that will be the start of your last lap run. Good pickup, no overtime because it is sprint racing format. That's one of those little nuances and idiosyncrasies within the iRacing platform. Hopefully they'll find a way around that in the years to come with all the great updates that have fallen our way over the last 6 or 7 years in this magnificent universe of ours. But yes, within the next 40 seconds, they're going to be getting back to the line and starting their last flying lap. For Rick Kuznetsov on screen at the moment, he is starting his final lap, and Zach Rattray-White's about to.
Yeah, he's only half a tenth off is Zach Rattray-White there, and he needs to know that this is the moment that his lap times start increasing. He's left himself one last opportunity. He's dragging along his teammates. There is Sebastian Eskandari down in 14th. Lockhart Brownlee now up into 11th position with his improvements out there. So this is going to be critical in terms of finding lap time. You know that you're leaving yourself with what will now be for him his last opportunity, and he's down into pits, so he's not going to improve. Zach Kerr was the driver behind him as we go to Ryan Jones here in 33rd position, hoping that the lap time is going to improve out there with the attempts that they've got. So this is where they're trying to line this one up, get the time that they need, and here we go, looking to improve improved on a 37.4, and he's short by 7 thousandths of a second, so he's not going to go any better out there. Ewan Baker's down in the pits. What about Dylan O'Keefe? He's down on a 37.8 at the moment. He does a 37.7, improves his time, but not his place. He's stuck in 44th position right now in this field. That's huge. Now Jack Widders will be looking around at his lap time, towing Lockhart Brownlee behind him, but wide's going to go Widders. Into the pits goes Brownlee, so he's not going to jump up and find an improvement. Tom Bewley in 6th place isn't going to get there. Lewis Greathead jumps up then to 12th position over the line. Damon Woods will feel it's job done for him as Sam Chapman goes by, but don't forget Zach Rattray White in this situation. He's done. He goes into the pits. He couldn't find a lap either. So now it's up to his teammates here. Here comes Marino Morella and Hayden Veld, both looking for attempts as they cross the line. A 37 flat, almost matched for Morella on his attempt. Veld couldn't get the lap. Mez is going to jump into the pit. Simon Mazzomo, that's going to write that as far as qualifying goes. You needed your time in the opening 10 minutes, and not many improvements could be found after that. Let's take a look at how the grid will stack here for your first ever race in this wonderful, absolutely wonderful Moza Racing Porsche Pro Invitational, because it is Damon Woods for Falcon Sim Racing who has got the control over 2 Eclipse cars behind in Zach Rattray White and Byron Pierce. Hugo Allen for Automoose Racing Team will line up 4th with Reese Wakefield and Tom Bewley in 5th and 6th positions. Anton Sabo will go from 7th along with Dean Mackay as Marino Morella and Jack Widders round out your top 10. Lockhart Brownlee has Lewis Greathead for company then in the 112 car in 12th place. Over then to row 7, where Danny Davison for Team Max Boost has Zach Kerr for company as Sebastian Eskandari sees Dylan Shepherd there in 16th position. We saw what happened to Corey Lazarus. His spin with 2 to go ultimately drops him 6 places to 17th as Hayden Smith will start the Riot Sim Racing 672 in 18th. Your top 20 will be top and tailed by Josh Perwin and Pat Klein, as Hayden Veld will go from the blackjack position of 21st and Jackson Raihana there in 22nd. Luke Swan and Rick Kuznetsov are 23rd and 24th, with Sebastian Varndell and Miles Burgess in 26th. Ewan Baker and Simon Mazzomo hold row 14 as Brock Gilchrist and Angus Lawford. The Project 36 car is in P30. Looking down then through the rest of the field, you'll see Ben Pedersen there in 31st and Sam Muir 32nd. Jacob O'Reilly and Seth Brown are then 33rd and 34th, with Jed Van Hemert and Ryan Jones back in 36th. Stefan McCartain and Scott Rankin, they will have row 19. Top 40 is there with Sam Chapman and Jordan Malcolm, as Kane Ryder will be 41st along with Stuart Ellis there in 42nd. Your final 3 to run through: Harry Lawrence, Dylan O'Keefe, and we saw the big smash up for the BM Plus car of Zach Hanlin running into troubles. Down grid side right now virtually is Zach Cabin as he takes you through the ASRG grid walk.
Thank you, Jake. And I'm reliably informed that we've got 2 superstars of the Caper waiting for us to have a chat on the walk here. The first one that's jumped into the booth is a guy that I've commentated in GT4 more prominently in recent years. Hello, Sam Muir. Great to have you on board. A little bit further down the order than you'd probably like to be fair, mate. How have you enjoyed the experience of pre-qualifying and getting ready for what is arguably one of the biggest Porsche racing leagues in the country, if not the sim racing universe right now, to finally get to this point of the opening round?
Yeah, g'day, Zach. Yeah, absolutely. I love the experience up until about, 5-10 minutes ago when we absolutely bottled quali. So, but no, absolutely thrilled to be here. I've been watching on the other ASRG leagues that have been put on, the V8s and the GT3s, and just been sitting back watching with envy and just wanting to be a part of it someday. And it was great to finally now have a Porsche Cup league that we can come and have a bit of a play in. So yeah, just disappointed with quali, but overall just super psyched to be here.
New year, new car. How have you found getting your head around the 992.2, please, mate?
To be honest, quite challenging, being that the old 992.1 was all that I ever driven. So TC, ABS, totally whole new world to me. So it's been quite a steep learning curve. But yeah, super proud of all the guys at 9.5 Sim Sport. Been working really, really hard over the last couple of months throughout pre-qualifying, eventually finding some pace, and to have 4 of us on the grid tonight is a real testament to all the hard work that we've been putting in over the last couple of months. We definitely haven't found our ceiling just yet. There's still plenty more pace to find. And yeah, hopefully by the end of this season, we're fighting up the pointy end of the field.
Last one, because then we've got to have a chat to Mr. Jones here. Where are the goalposts for tonight, mate? Pretty tough slog, pretty tough start, being down around the corner, backed up in 32nd position there. But you got 2 bites at the cherry. What are the goalposts, and what will you be happy with at the end of the night?
Yeah, I think if we can make our way forward, then that's going to be a win. Just surviving this first night, just getting a bit of a feel for the guys that we're racing. Some we've raced in other leagues, others we're racing against for the first time. So tonight's just going to be all about learning, and then we can, put some goals together for the rest of the season beyond tonight.
On a track where it's not the easiest to overtake, quite frankly. So it'll be challenging, but we're looking forward to following your progress, mate. Thanks for stopping by for a chat. All the best.
No worries, guys. Have a great call.
Let's go a little bit further down the grid, if you don't mind. We're going to walk from Sam Muir in 32nd position down to 36th position, so the outside of row number, actually the inside of row number 18 here, let's be perfectly honest. One of the little trip-ups of the Hockenheimring, that the pole is on the outside, not the inside. Hello to Ryan Jones, who's going to slide into the booth now and have a chat with us. I'm just waiting for him to be dragged in. There he is. Jonesy... to be fair, this is not the way you would have wanted to start the season, mate. You and, of course, Dylan O'Keefe, your teammate there, in a little bit of trouble early on, outside the top 30, outside the top 40 in Dylan's case. But surely you'll be relying on the fact that you are, when we go racing, a pretty good racer to try and work your way through the field and salvage something out of tonight. Where did it go wrong in quali?
Not ideal, is it? I think I had all 6 sort of laps that might have been decent. I had a car bail at turn 1 or at the start of the back straight. So I never actually got a slipstream on any of my laps, which was frustrating. So, I mean, I'm reasonably happy with that time with no tow. I don't think it's a stretch to say I could have found 3/10 and been in the top 15 had I got a slipstream out there. So it's not panic stations, but obviously a lot of work to do to try and claw our way forward in the races and stay out of the carnage, which I think is coming.
Yeah, exactly right. We'll just be hoping that there's no wet weather in the forecast, unlike what we saw here in the V8 qualifying round, of course, mate. Okay, let's be perfectly honest. We've seen you learning this car throughout the course of the season. Has that in any way helped you in trying to formulate a plan of attack for tonight, knowing the calibre of drivers you're stacked up against?
I don't know if I've fully learned all the little tips and tricks that I'm sure all the elite guys in here have got figured out to make it go fast. I'm still trying to sort of understand it. That said, I don't really understand any of the cars I drive. I just sort of get in and drive them, hope for the best. But yeah, obviously, I just think the main thing is going to be trying to keep your head clean and stay out of trouble. I think both Dylan and I are probably going to have better race pace and quali pace over the course of the season. So get a good start tonight and just try and move forward over the course of the year.
And it's going to be different with each and every passing round, mate, because the goalposts are going to move and shift and every track's going to play differently. So it'll be interesting to see who masters the craft as we go here. 3 weeks between rounds. Good luck tonight. Where are the goalposts for you? What's a pass mark now that you're starting outside the top 30? What can you salvage? What would you be happy with?
I was aiming for a top 15. If I can get into the top 20 in both races, I'd be stoked. If I can finish a night in the top 20, I think that'd be a pretty decent recovery and hopefully try and cheer Dylan along as well to get out of the midst of the back of the field.
That might require a little bit of luck to go your way, mate. You might also need to get the elbows out. We know you don't mind doing that either. Good luck to you in the DPR stable. Great to have Dylan O'Keefe as part of that stable, as part of this series as well. Good luck to the pair of you, mate. We hope it goes well.
Cheers, boys.
And on the back of what was a rather frantic and hard-fought qualifying session, there was a lot of news to come out of that. Jake, you might want to talk us through what you found out from race control.
Well, we just got it there on screen. So unsportsman black and white flags have been administered to Dylan O'Keefe, Seth Brown, Stuart Ellis and Sam Chapman. So they're going to be walking a fine line out there, effectively being told, look, don't do that again. But critically, there is a drive-through penalty that will have to be served in this first heat of 16 laps, or this first race of the season. And it's car 35, Zach, that has been caught out in that regard. That is going to be Jordan Malcolm, who will get that for an unsafe rejoin. Not too much of a surprise to both of us.
No, we looked at it during qualifying, didn't we? And we thought, hang on, that's not going to end well for him. Put simply, the only way is up. You can pretty much put a line through race 1 now for Jordan Malcolm, but he'll try and salvage something in race 2. And he's another one that's got good race pace on his day. Unfortunately, just bad judgment call tonight. He pays the price, gets the whack across the knuckles, reset, go again, and try and salvage something out of the night and, of course, out of the remaining rounds of the season, mate. 30 seconds to go here, ladies and gentlemen, before we get the Moza Racing Porsche Pro Invitational Series underway for 2026, the first of 26 races. What a privilege it is to be here with you across the platforms of the SimSpeed Esports Network and, of course, the Australian Sim Racing Group. Jake, I'm going to hand it over to you. Does anyone stop Damon Woods in this season opener?
Well, the question will be who gets down the inside. If there is a good launch off the line from Zach Rattray White, I wouldn't be shocked to see the Eclipse cars working together to try and work themselves forward. Hugo Allen, keep an eye out on him as well in 4th position. This isn't the easiest race in the world to start a championship off, but they know they're going to have to be on best behaviour as the lights go out and the Moza Racing Porsche Pro Invitational gets itself underway. Lovely start by Damon Woods as he gets the launch. Front 4, all clear, contact through turn 1, immediate spin, and then over to the outside. Hugo Allen gets turned across the nose, and ultimately he finds himself a mile back down the order then as he finds the start 3, 4, 5 wide almost in towards the Bernie Eccleston curve at turn 2. Front cars, they've scarpered everyone else. They're pretty much stuck in the barrel. Bit of side by sides they work through. Bewley and Wakefield here as it's clean off the get-go.
A very clean start as they make their way down towards turn 6 for the first time. Scott Rankin was, not so clean back there. Scott Rankin was anticipating they'd be 4 and 5 wide, maybe further back in the pack. You can see it from the aerial shot there, ladies and gentlemen. Yep, a bit of checking up going on, a little late lunge, and then a quick slam on the brakes to get out of it. Oh, no, trouble at the back. At the very back, there is trouble as they make their way through the arena section of the circuit. This is one of the new additions to the circuit. Safety car deployed, first one of the season, and it only took half a minute.
Yeah, that'll be for Dean Mackay, who is stranded backwards going through the Parabolica. So that calls all that into play. So drivers will all be looking around and hoping, what do I need to do out there to keep my calm in a race like this one? Effectively, what you would say is a case of balk, all runners advance if this was a game of baseball, Zach.
Yeah, exactly right. My baseball lingo has not received too much work in the previous part. Now, that's interesting as well. The number 8 straight down pit lane here. And we'll have it on screen for you in just a moment. This will explain a lot more on the OG Gear replay. Jack Widders jump start. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Safety car deployed. So basically, Jake, a couple of things here. Rockhart Brownlee also tripped up at the get-go there and has been slugged a drive-through penalty. So a couple of things that are of interest here, right? There's the stranded car heading down towards the Parabolica, well picked up. Secondly, and I'm relying on the graphics on screen at the moment because the live timing link's just popped itself. But let's analyse a couple of things here, Jake. Firstly, if you botch the start, you get an automatic chance to reset and have another crack with the restart coming up, albeit rolling in a few moments' time. And secondly, I'm wondering if there's something in the regulations about serving your drive-through for a jump start under a safety car. Because normally they don't allow you to serve a penalty during a safety car period. But it'll be interesting to see if they've found a loophole in the regs there.
Well, it's mandatorily thrown here, the safety car. It's not an automatic safety car here in iRacing. It is a manual one first and foremost, but what you get for a jump start is automatically flagged by the iRacing system, so there's no way around that. Jordan Malcolm has also been given the black flag, so race control will also be having a look at that to say whether you can or not. There's the effective tow now from Dean Mackay, who will be allowed now to go back to pits. And the first time out there that we get to see the Porsche Clubman GT4 safety car out there in play. Now, this is Hugo Allen, bogs down heavily off of the start of the race, finds himself in the 3-wide situation at a corner that is 2 wide, or basically 1.5 wide at the best of times. Turns in expecting no car there, Zach, and ultimately, where are you supposed to go at that point?
Yeah, exactly right. You become a moving roadblock, don't you? So here's the incident for Mackay, and this one is why we're under yellow at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. Again, a case of no room to no room to move. And how many times have we said it? We've seen a trend of this of late, Jake, wrecking in a straight line. I get that that's a curve, but at the same time, it is treated like an elongated straight. It is open full throttle. It's shades of Sebring all over again.
Well, I look at that on the opening lap of the race, and part of that is actually how much they were pushed out wide through turn 4. So when you're understanding the opening lap of this race, you are trying desperately to understand, where is the car? Where is it placed? How can I get what I want? It was Zach Kerr who was on the outside. He was trying to get aggressive on the line and basically ran himself out of road, came back across to push. And here's the question, is he going to be in a place where he's very happy? So you can see he gets pushed off wide, he's in the grass, and he comes across and turns across the nose. There's no excuse for that. That is just very, very naughty.
And he was in no man's land. You saw it on the replay with your own 2 eyes, ladies and gentlemen. He was actually in no man's land before that incident took place. Most of the car was, if this was a game of tennis, let's continue with the other sporting analogies while we're going. If this was a game of tennis, yeah, on the line is in, sure. But in motor racing terms, more of that car was on the ripple strip and the AstroTurf on the adjacent side of the ripple strip than what was on the actual motor racing bitumen. And race control, again, will look at that with respect to driving between the 2 white lines, because that's the real estate, that's the playground, and anything beyond that will be deemed no man's land. So race control already with a bit of work to do. We are under safety car. This is the second full lap of the caution, and Damon Woods has led every lap of the race so far. He's led the pre-qual, he's led the practice, he's led the qualifying. He's sitting pretty at the moment is D. Woods for Falcon Sim Racing. Now, Zach Ratway White, Byron Pearce, good start from them. Reese Wakefield, Tom Bewley, a good jump. And Antal Sabo as well will be happy to have got through unscathed. Sebastian Escandari's made big inroads in the opening stages here as well, Jake. That's a really good start. Only 13 years of age, the youngster. Has recently gone over to New Zealand, competed in the New Zealand Formula Ford Championship, going gangbusters, right? He's a name to watch with a view to what he might do in the real world on the international stage in the years ahead. He's just recently sold all the karting gear. He tore it to shreds there. And now, of course, he's enjoying an opportunity to hone his craft in the sim world as well. Another one backing up from the open wheeler Nationals last night. So we make our way around behind the safety car, and this just builds the intensity and the anxiety around all this a little bit more, doesn't it?
It very much does out there, as we get word that a 5-second penalty has been assessed to car 43. That's Dylan Shepherd, who's currently in 10th position right now. So he'll have 5 seconds added on to his end race time as far as that stands for him. So that's going to really hurt. What will also be worth noting out there is those drivers now, as they're getting them set up for this restart here on lap 4, as the safety car has pulled itself away. Damon Woods will have control of the field. Damon Woods has already got 5 championship points in the back pocket for his pole position out there. Rattray White with 4, Pearce with 3. It's 2 points for Hugo Allen and 1 point for Reese Wakefield. So they've already scored some points out there overall. But Damon Woods looking to get the launch hit through this short shoot run, try and pick up the gap, and he's got a nice jump there of a couple car lengths as we'll get back to running here on lap 4 of 16. And looking at that launch, a single file run to get going immediately. Look in the back there. Eskandari trying to get the jump here on Molina, and already another one goes around. That's the 6-7-2, pointing in the wrong direction there. Big disaster for Hayden Smith.
And more. And more. This time out of turn 1. Again, how often it's going to be a trip-up point tonight. 2, 3 cars around at turn 1. And 2 of them stuck there, stranded at the moment. Josh Perwin pointing the wrong way. One of Vermilion's chances. 3 wide on a run down through turn 5.
Pat Klein won't be happy, neither will Ben Pedersen here, as that 3 wide's going to go through. There's more trouble in the back as Rankin has gone around then out there with Muir, as now they push into the hairpin and they've been bunched up, and understand that this is going to be a very, very tough race. They've got to try and hold themselves with some account and know they've got to take what they can with it. Zach Kerr with that drive-through course, now the lunges down the inside into turn 8 and shoved out wide. There's one behind the back, that's Lazarus, who has a half slide as he goes through. But it is so busy in this mid-pack right now. It's calm in front, second safety car.
Another one. You just get the feeling that it's going to be that sort of night, don't you? Stop, start, and a whole heap of mini sprints within what is already a sprint race night and a sprint race season. Pat Klein for 9.5 SimSport parked up. That's the exit of turn 2, I think. And that is unfortunate for Pat. His race ends. Remember, they get a chance to reset and go again in race 2, of course, ladies and gentlemen. But his night, for the moment, is on ice. And this is how it happened, again, off the restart. How many were there? Oh, this was actually turn 1. It was the outside of turn 1. Smack bang into the wall. He was the one that we couldn't identify that went out of shot, looking up from turn 2 to turn 1. Suspension gone, as you say, Jake. He's not going to be able to drive it out of there. And the safety car, the safety car driver's going to earn his keep tonight, isn't he?
Well, he's going to get most laps led here today by the sounds of things at this moment in time. So straight back out there, Damon Woods. He won't mind this one bit because he gets to tick off the lap. The Vermilion car. So this is what we're seeing quite a bit of here. Cars catching the inside curb there, that sausage curb on the inside, getting that car up on 2 wheels, this Porsche 992.2, and then unable to hold the grip. And so everyone's seeing these spins around. There's not much that you can do about it. And that first corner of Ravenel is one of the toughest corners out there on track, because it's something unakin to anything you really find anywhere else for a turn 1 in motorsport. Closed apex corner, single file through it, and committed as anything.
And this is the point. You think about it, there's the carnage actually started, cold tyres as well. The carnage started well before we got to turn 1, as you can see there on the OG Gear replay. What was interesting in all of that as well, the little trip-up points that you find by exploring the limits throughout the course of practice and qualifying, among other things. It seems as though we're still finding those, and hopefully everybody that's tripped up on those so far will now make a mental note to say, hang on, no, we can't actually push the limits here, because if we do, the Porsches, which have had a reputation of being a little bit of a pogo stick based on all the feedback we've had so far, they're going to spit you out the other side, and you are going to be a passenger, as you saw there, ladies and gentlemen. Cold tyres and sausage curbs, detrimental in the early stages here. We've reached the end of lap 5. We reset to go again. We haven't had a full green lap so far. Let's hope we can fix that now.
So a short safety car period to clear everything. Damon Woods back in control. Some big gainers. Eskandari's up 9. Hayden Velde's up double digits. Raihana up 9 into 13th. But Damon Woods, no calm. He goes a little later this time in order to get the launch off and away, because he wants the drivers behind to also have a good launch off this start. He's clean through turn 1 as they work themselves through single file through the pack, and they know that they want chances to be aggressive out there. To the Bernie Eccleston curve now. 2 wide, 2 deep it is. 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th right now. Good launch by Pierce. Gets around Tom Bewley. Wakefield and Eskandari continuing on. And here in this group right now, Raihana getting himself involved here. He wants a move on Hayden Veld.
one of the invited drivers into the field for tonight and making the opportunity count. 12th at this point in time, looking for a spot in the top 10. Look at the defence work from Greathead and Veld as we hit the hairpin for the 6th time. And let's hope we can get out of there cleanly. It hasn't been the trip-up point we expected it to be thus far, but now, less time, less opportunity. Whoa, there we go. Another spin. The 144 pointing the wrong way. That's Reese Wakefield out of the top 5 and more trouble on the exit of the arena left-hander as well. Reese Wakefield, Byron Pearce, that is on your screen, pointing the wrong way. Oh my goodness me, 2 contenders out of the top 10, rubbed out of it on the first full green lap of the night.
Eskandari had a look down the inside of Byron Pearce. That's why we see the moment there, and critically at the Spitzkehrer, it was Tom Bewley then making huge progress on the lunge through, getting himself up to 3rd. A couple spins, but critically, both kept it out the barriers, so we stay racing here at the Hockenheimring on what are some very cold conditions here right now in Baden-Württemberg at this stage in time. Shepherd here in 7th, holding himself steady. Woods now finally can put the fastest lap in his back pocket as now they can try and get themselves set. We'll take another look then at this. There's the look as they now try and pivot through. This is what you need. Trying to work this one through. Oh, how do you even spread the gap like that? That looks like one of the old police chases.
I like it. Like an episode of Cops. Oh, look at the damage. It's absolutely torn to shreds for Josh Perwin. Caught up in yet another incident. And now Lockhart Brownlee as well. Is this a case of another straight line incident for Lockhart? Have a look at the OG Gear replay of Perwin. We're back live on the bottom right-hand side of your screen there, ladies and gentlemen. Simon Mesmer on a car park at turn 7.
Not good on the inside here, and they're trying to clear quickly. Jack Widders is involved in it. It's the slowest part. I think Raihana went for a half spin, and basically everyone who chose the inside line chose incorrectly. We've got another spinner out there now in Ewan Baker, who's gone around. Sam Muir is trying to limp on back. We didn't expect a race like this of 70 kilometres to create this much craziness, but you add the conditions, you add the factors well here, Zach. It's the first time all of these drivers would have driven against each other in anger. They don't understand how each other are going to race.
Well, that's exactly right. There are some drivers within the field that will be familiar with some of their opponents based on other leagues and other championships and other disciplines that they've raced in, not necessarily Porsches, but yeah, there are some new names to them, to us as well. We don't know what it's going to be like, and the other interesting thing in all of that is I think there's something to be said about first night nerves, nervous energy, and also trying to send a message and make a statement on the opening night. The only person successfully doing that at the moment, of course, is the race leader Damon Woods, but this guy's impressive as well. You talk about converting real-world performance into sim-world potential. Tom Bewley, 3rd last year in the Porsche Michelin Sprint Challenge Australia Series, is staying true to form here so far for Momentum Racing in the early stages as we take the OG Gear replay of the hairpin and just how hectic it is down here at this time of the night. This is from the previous lap, the checkup. Yeah, have a look at that. 1, 2, 3. A few bumps and grinds there, the spin, and everybody checked up. So 3, 4 cars compromised in all of that. A few others sustaining a little bit of panel damage, no doubt, with the bump and rub. But at least we stay green.
Hayden Veld knows that Dylan Shepherd in front has been given a time penalty out there, and Jackson Raihana has been shown the black and orange connection flag out there, so he obviously needs to improve his internet out there to deal with. A look at Hayden then, up to 8th from what was 21st on the grid. He's gained 13 spots. Farndale from 25th behind him in the train in the top 10. There are big movers in this field. Stefan McCarthy up 22 as a late substitute in today, having a wonderful race won by his regard out there. So there is so much great running that is being shown out there at this point for those around. Veld holding himself himself then in a very nice regard and saying, look, we need to be out there, we need to put the laps in, we need the 3 or 4 laps to get the temperature. Once we do, we can start really focusing. And did you notice as well that when the pack was really bunched up together going to the Spitzkehrer, that massive accordion effect is what sent Raihana into the back and around, as Hayden now lunging for the inside, down at the Spitzkehrer, gets it done, the country bars.
The key overtaking spot on the circuit, they're making it count. I love the fact that we've got the positional changes and gains and losses on your screen there, ladies and gentlemen. Some people taking their opportunity and running with it. You mentioned Stefan McCartan, but also Jacob O'Reilly, Seth Brown up 17 spots apiece. 15 for Sebastian Vandel, 14 for Hayden Veld, 10 for Sebastian Eskandari. Importantly, make it 14 now for Hayden Veld. He's just got through on Dylan Shepherd, who has that penalty. Make note, Sebastian Vandel is currently in the invert pole position with 7 laps to go at the line. Half race distance has been gone, come and went. A great start for Damon Woods and Zach Ratway-White, but plenty of movement beneath them at the moment. Unfortunately, we'll have to show you the other end of the pole at some point, ladies and gentlemen, to work out who's lost the most ground tonight, but that's a case of a lot of drivers probably not wanting to be reminded of that. Quite frankly, there'll be a few kicking stones and licking their wounds, living with the tail dangling between their legs after this one. Here's Lewis Greathead in 9th, under pressure from his teammate Sebastian Vandel on the run down towards turn number 2. And just ahead of them is Dylan Shepherd. Now, we know that Shep's got the 5-second penalty. That'll be applied to the race results. I'm not sure if there's a way, based on what we know about the iRacing software, that they can apply that to the results in session. They can't. So therefore, he's in play with that invert situation, and if this was a real-world instance, he wouldn't be.
Oh, and that's going to be key as we look behind from Hanlon. Speaking of which, Shepherd has just been launched at by Lewis Greathead. He's lost another place down at the Spitzkehrer, so moves are really starting to be found then at turn 6 and lining up towards 8. Shepherd trying to get on the aggressive back-to-back, but the Vermilion Esports car then forming a sandwich right now as Seb Varndell tries to put himself into the picture, say, look, I'm going to try and get this move as well. It's really calmed at the front. It's 9/10 of a second gap for your race lead, just flicking up and over at about a second. So now it's about focus. Just try and settle down, find the momentum. You'd have been pretty much woken up with a couple of safety cars to hold yourself steady, but now they know it's either you go forward or you go back, and at the moment the One Performance Gamma Flare car is going the wrong way out there, and just getting word that car 193 is going to find itself in penalty trouble. 15 seconds to Miles Burgess.
That, of course, again, being applied post-race, so it will take effect when we have a look at the results in the points table tomorrow. It won't necessarily impact the way tonight's going to play out for Miles, but 15 seconds considering, oh no, trouble for, is that one of the 9-5 entries pointing the wrong way? Yes, no, it's Project 36, it's Angus Lawford. So disappointing for Miles Burgess, but not tonight. It'll be tomorrow when that sinks in, so we'll have to go and have a look at the rap sheet after the fact to know the full ramifications, because the more this field is checked up with safety cars bunching the field back up and the race being neutralised, Jake, the more cars that are going to be within a 15-second radius of him, so the further down the order likely he's going to plummet. So 15 seconds very costly at this time of the night.
There is Dylan O'Keefe, as we saw some side-by-side between Jacob O'Reilly there and Stefan McCartay, who was going at it. Seth Brown on the back. Up to 28th, though, is Dylan, and so I guess this is a case of easy does it right now in the number 1. This is landmine avoidance to start this race, and then everything from after that is key. Off now into the ovals, or the infield section, and there's the push off for McCartay as Brown and O'Reilly sneak on by, and the next group behind getting busy with Brock Gilchrist then, the likes of Stuart Ellis, and of course Simon Mazzomo, who is in the picture as well, and he's had a little bit of a word over to race control after he was pushed out wide going through turn 11 in front of the Porsche Experience Centre.
Back onto the main straight, Simon Mazzomo up 8 spots already, trying to weave his way through the field as far as possible to set himself up for another crack, another one at the cherry in race 2. He's not going to be part of that invert, Jake, but he can certainly set himself up to be potentially playing for a top 10 spot outright at the end of the second race, which is 30 kilometres longer, essentially, than the first, ladies and gentlemen. 22 laps up from 16. So stay tuned for that. Still a lot to come tonight. 5 laps to get through first here, though. Thankfully, we've had Harry Lawrence now getting a black flag as well.
Through.
It is indeed, and again, costly in a field this size that's as bunched up as this is right now. So Corey Lazarus up 7 spots at the moment for the Automoves Racing team. Now finds himself in an invert spot, in an invert pole spot if he can stay there. Of course, who's right behind him? Sebastian Vandel. He'll have something to say about that. They'll both want to get by Dylan Shepherd, because Shepherd, mathematically, when we look at 5-second post-race penalty, not in the picture, but is because of iRacing software and little idiosyncrasies that we've got to contend with there. They'd love to find a way past Shepherd. Shepherd would love to keep them at bay. Vandel would love nothing more than to be 10th and have Shep 11th. To have a better run with the invert. But Corey Lazarus, I cannot wait to see if he can hold on to 10th spot, what he can do with clear air, because, as I said earlier, he's a superstar in the Porsche. I'm not sure how he's finding the 992.2 as opposed to the 992.1, but we're going to get a clear indication of that very shortly if this guy gets to lead the field of green in race 2.
Yeah, so it was a good move, a lap ago actually for him that got him into position. There is the likes of Corey Lazarus for Automoves. He really had to work to get back into that 10th position after qualifying didn't quite go his way. He's eyeing up Dylan Shepherd, but he won't get it this time. In front of him, there's a little search and a soiree down to the inside line as Lewis Greathead tried to get by Hayden Bell behind that. Rick Kuznetsov is on an absolute charge. He was a driver who we expected to be up there and running quite good, and he's up 12 spots now and looking at maybe sneaking his way for Vermilion Esports right now into this top 10.
And again, a competitor that we were talking about pre-race. Talk about taking your opportunities and running with them. Charging back from a disappointing qualifying result, on the cusp of factoring in the invert. Got the pace to run with the front contenders, and now illustrating that, showcasing that for all to see. Damon Wood, Zach Ratway-White, no one touching them at the moment. Ratway-White within half a second of Damon Woods. Tom Bewley and Antel Sabo there in third, and Sebastian Eskandari fifth, 3 laps to go.
Yeah, Lewis Greathead knowing that he's in this big scrap, the invert means a lot out there in this position. Hayden looking behind, little wide push out there from Dylan Shepherd. He tries to bring himself into position and say, what can you do? There's pretty much a case of 6 drivers here inside of the top 10 here, but you're starting to turn out of here, turn 3, and entering to the Parabolica 4 and 5 here, Zach. It's a case of there are 6 bridesmaids, but there will only be 4 brides by the end of this heat.
Exactly right. It's like the old four dogs, 3 bones, safety car deployed. Oh no, oh no.
It's Jack Widders who is around and on the racing surface through turn 9 out there on track. So he's had a pretty big side-by-side moment with Lockhart Brownlee through 8, and it's continued over into turn 9 as he had a massive smash on the suspension with Angus Lawford, then went in, couldn't turn, and basically the car pointing, the Carjack mechanic number 8, the wrong direction. So this throws a little spanner late into the works.
Indeed it does, and the question will be, can race control get this cleaned up in time to give us a 1-lap dash to the flag, and how hectic will that be if they can clear the incident in time and obviously bunch the field back up. I dare say there'll be instruction from race control to the safety car pilot to just ease off the accelerator a little bit on this penultimate lap of the race to give them the best possible chance of getting a green flag restart. We'd love nothing less than to see the race, the first race of this new era and this Moza Racing Porsche Pro Invitational, to end under caution. So let's hope we can get a 1-lap dash to the flag.
Well, it will be one here on lap 15 where they will do everything they possibly can to keep racing action available, and so this now becomes a really critical matter of fact here as they will set themselves up. The field's got to catch first and foremost, but they will also understand that this has really bunched it up. Anyone who is looking just outside of that top 10, here's that they have been given the golden ticket and green light to be as aggressive as they can on lap 16 of 16.
A very good point, because if anyone is going to wear the wrap of race control, it's all going to be post-race, isn't it? It's not going to actually be applicable to race 2. So, yeah, run the gauntlet. The elbows will be out. You feel a little bit sorry for someone like Corey Lazarus and Dylan Shepherd. They're right there on the bubble at the moment. They might find themselves under relentless pressure. Elbows out on the run to the checkered flag here. This is going to be tantalising stuff. Damon Woods and Zach Ratway-White have been untouchable throughout the course of this race. Tom Bewley, not really challenged. Antal Sabo has been impressive there in 4th place, and Sebastian Eskandari, that's a standout performance from the 13-year-old first up in this new season.
Yeah, this is a wonderful start if you want to understand just how quick you need to run in the early stages of a season. It's all about building up for your opportunity, giving yourself as much chance out there, and so that is going to be a really, really good sense of where everyone is now eyeing this one up and lining it up then. And I wonder whether, if Damon Woods is looking at it, he's had 2 chances. He's gone early the first time, he went late the second, and he got the jump that he wanted on both occasions as he went on through. So I think as that all sets itself up ready for what will be one final lap here around this Hockenheimring for this first race of 2 tonight, it's a case of you've dominated every lap, and where you go, he goes back to the early call then of trying to get himself the jump that he wants on Zach Ratway-White. He was a little bit better this time, was Zach, in terms of how he needed to go and get this move. Barney waves the white flag then, which indicates 1 lap to go here at the Hockenheimring. Damon Woods with a good launch then as he's got himself clear with what he needs. At the moment, keep also an eye on Corey Lazarus, who's there in 10th position. Oh, and trouble for the 9.5 car in the background. Luke Swan is going to be backwards, pointing the wrong way, as now here goes the chances to go through. No moves in at turn 2, but side by side for 9th. It is right now as Dylan Shepherd back there, and Corey Lazarus had a bit of overlap, and it will be all down here to the Spitzkehrer at turn 6 to decide what you've got. Does Zach Ratway-White go for an uber lunge to try and get himself down the inside? They hit the absolute limits of the brakes, and there can't be much in there. Now here come the big shoves, then from the second group back, as the likes of Veld and great header there. Shepherd and Kuznetsov now, side by side, as Kuznetsov into the top 10. Now 10th is going to be Shepherd. He's pushed out wide as Ratway-White can't get there. Picture in picture into turn 8. And now here for the transfer. There goes the move then through at 8. Lazarus sneaks himself back into that top 10 then. Shepherd looking on the outside in. And Varnell's there. Contact. Lazarus is going to go around. He's going to find the barriers. So there the in's going to go Shepherd. And Seb Varnell now into position at the Sachs curve though, at an arm's length from everyone else, as if this was a case of watching a little bit of footy out there at this point. They haven't been able to get anywhere near him in race number 1. Damon Woods is going to come to the line and take the opener here at the Hockenheimring.
Brilliant from Damon Woods. Clinical, led every lap. Varnell comes home in 10th spot. There's your invert pole sitter. I said that the gloves were going to be off on that final lap. You feel for Corey Lazarus. He's stranded there, parked up on the exit of the arena section of the circuit. Helpless, despondent, and now having to reset and refocus and try and weave his way through an enormous amount of traffic rather than looking at clear air ahead of him. Just wretched luck. But we predicted that, didn't we? We said that no one was going to leave anything on the table. The gloves were going to be off. The aggression was going to be up tenfold. And we saw it there on your screens, ladies and gentlemen. But as Jake said, well played Damon Woods. 1 from 1. laying down the foundations and sending a message to the rest of the paddock saying, I can convert one lap pace into full race pace. Catch me if you can. And well done to Ratway White for going with him for much of the journey as well. And Tom Bewley rounding out the podium.
Yeah, the margin of victory then is about 3/4, or I would say nearly 3/10. So it's 3/4 to 3/10 of a second as Tom Bewley finishes third and Antar Szabo is there in fourth. Four Vermilion cars and 3 Eclipse cars in your top 10 as Sebastian Eskandari is fifth. Marina Morella is there in sixth as Hayden Veld, Lewis Greathead, Rick Kuznetsov and Sebastian Varndale have a barn burner to get themselves then the invert as it's set. Dylan Shepherd would finish off 11th ahead of Seth Brown. Those drivers started, well, Seth Brown, your biggest mover in the field, up 22. Well, actually, he was one of the biggest movers, up 22. It was 20 for Jacob O'Reilly. Miles Burgess to 14th. McCartane as well, making good progress as well from 37th to 15th. Your actual biggest gainer is Stuart Ellis, up 26 spots. From 42nd to 16th, and you said you couldn't quite get some places. OPR 3 in a row out there. Brock Gilchrist and Ryan Jones 17th and 18th. So Ryan got what he wanted. Kane Ryder 19th and Simon Mazzomo rounding out your top 20. Over the page, you got Hayden Smith and Zachary Hanlon. They are 21st and 22nd with Zach Kerr and Dylan O'Keefe up to 24th. Byron Pierce, Ben Pedersen, Lockhart Brownlee and Ewan Baker make up 28 as Harry Lawrence, even with a drive-through, is 29th and Hugo Allen from 4th all the way down to 30th by the end of the checkered flag. Angus Lawford and Jordan Malcolm would then be 31st and 32nd as Sam Chapman with Reese Wakefield would be 33rd and 34th. Luke Swan and Scott Rankin down then in 36th. It's Jed Van Hemert who is the last car on the lead lap as one down would be Corey Lazarus, unable to find the finish. Jack Whittaker retiree along with Sam Muir, Danny Davison, Josh Perwin and Jackson Raihana with Pat Klein and Dean Mackay also retirees from race number 1. Zach, I think it's safe to say out there that not many cars from race 1 are going to be healthy looking heading into race 2. They're going to have to do a lot of work down in the virtual pit lane to get the panel beaters out.
Yeah, exactly right. And it's at this particular point in time that you're very thankful that this is the virtual platform. Otherwise, that would be an expensive bill for quite a few drivers going into that second race. You nailed some standout performance there. I'll be interested to see when we look at the points breakdown at the end of that. Jack Vittis obviously didn't see the checkered flag, nor did Corey Lazarus. Corey stranded on track, as we saw there. He will probably still be classified as he's only one lap down. Vittis is past the 75% marker, but did trigger a safety car, so it'll be interesting to see whether he was picked up a handful of championship points for his efforts. But yeah, there'll be a lot of drivers working feverishly away in the background, trying to work out where it went wrong, where it went right, and how they can potentially turn it around and improve further in some cases, and just in general for the rest of them when we get to race 2. You mentioned Ryan Jones. Great charge, great hustle from him. Not so much for our commentary colleague, Scott Rankin. He got hustled and bustled a little bit as we went there, but all class at the top of the field. That was brilliant from Damon Woods. There's a reminder of the calendar for this season if anyone's just joining us too, ladies and gentlemen. Very European-centric first half of the season.
Yeah, so we pretty much tour twice in Germany, once in France. We go to Belgium, the Netherlands, and to Austria over the course of that. 4 Aussie tracks in the final 6, but critically also trips to Miami and to Imola to go and deal with as well. Adding 30 kilometers on to this second round of, or second race of the season. So it'll be 100 Ks. They will run 22 laps worth of battling that they've got available for them. And this will now test the drivers who have moved on up. How good are your defensive skills? It forces drivers not to basically be sitting at the front, Zach, running away. They will now have the chance to say, look, we got to go out there. We got to be aggressive. And we've really got to go and say, look, I'm going to jump in and I've got to make clean and decisive moves. Exactly.
To your point, when you look at this circuit, we've already seen how difficult it is to execute an overtaking manoeuvre. So you don't want to end up in a position where you get it done, but you botch the continuation on the exit of the corner and the consolidation of it, Jake. You want to be able to, as you say, make it clear-cut, make it concise, finish the job in one hit rather than having to reset and go again. The more you do that, the more time you lose out of trying to reel in other would-be contenders further up the field. And I was about to make the point, well, they've got an extra 6 laps to work with here, and the probability of a safety car is skyrocketing high at 100% at the moment, based on the fact that we saw it 3 times in the opening race there, and that was only 16 laps. But if this goes green all the way, yes, you've got 22 laps, but you need to make the inroads early whilst the field is bunched up, because it didn't take too long for everybody to spread out, mate, as soon as we got a couple of clean green laps in.
Certainly. Car 10, that's Brock Gilchrist. He's been given the black and white unsportsman flag for what happened on lap 13, that first race. So keep an eye out on Varndale, who's in control. Kuznetsov, great head. Veld, it is a Vermilion 1, 2, 3 at the start of this field. So how are they going to hold themselves steady? You got the likes of Damon Woods and Zach Rattray-White on row 5, and everyone working their way through. So this is going to be a very big race that they all got to set themselves up for. Varndale will have control, but we know how quick Kuznetsov was in race number 1. Here for race 2 of the Moza Porsche Pro Invitational. Green flag is going to be in the air, and he almost forgot it, did Barney, as we get ourselves underway. What a launch by Lewis, great head here. He'll be boxed in slightly as they run in towards turn number 1, the Ravenel curve, to start off this lap. Nice clean get-go then from the front as they immediately look to try and get the drive up to Bernie Eccleston. 3 wide, and it is Eskandari, absolute maniac, going through down the inside. What a launch by him, already up to 3rd and now eyeing 2nd.
No fear from the 13-year-old. I love that in the early stages. And he's setting himself up for the best possible opportunity down here at the hairpin. Byron Pierce, jump start, gets a black flag, a drive-through penalty. And up the outside goes Eskandari, almost into the back of the early race leader. But can he get the job done here on the exit of 6 and up to 7? If he stays around the outside, he'll have the inside running for the arena left-hander. And Eskandari might, well, yep, he will. Finds himself in a 2nd spot early on. Brilliant start from the youngster.
Oh, it's a brilliant get-go, and this is really showing that you're going to have to be on your haunches here on these starts if you can get it right. Big contact in the back. Huge run out there as some of the Vermilion cars the wrong way. Lewis Greathead was one of them, and the other one then out there trying to still wait for everybody to go on through, has to wait for the entire pack, is Marino Morella, who's dropped way down the order. So that's a huge disaster out there. Already in the mid-pack, they're going to get a little bit chippy out there as well as they search for angle and length. But at the moment, it is a case of everybody forward at the moment from about Hayden Veld onwards. Top 5 have their clearance. We'll take another look through the transfer of turn 9.
On the replay to the left-hander, yeah, just unfortunately a little bit of door rubbing there, and no net code involved in that one, which is nice to see. Nice change of pace from iRacing's end. But a little bit of bump and rub, 2 into 1 not wanting to go, cold tyres, trying to get through the right-hander, all those ingredients combining to send those cars pirouetting, and of course everybody checking up behind that as well, not helping the situation. So a little bit of work to do for the Vermilion boys in trying to work their way back through the field. Look at Damon Woods, already 3 spots gained, Seth Brown 4 spots gained, and Zach Rattray-White remains in 9th spot, exactly where he started. Very impressive. Sebastian 1-2 at the moment. Varndale leads Eskandari. Tom Bewley up 5 spots early on, and Stuart Ellis up 6 again. You've got to make those inroads in the early stages when the field's bunched up, and those guys have ticked the box.
A lot of bump between McCartney, O'Reilly and Gilchrist back there as they were working through, but Damon Woods slowly working methodically through. There is Brock Gilchrist from Momentum Racing, getting a good run off the exit over the curve. O'Reilly goes scattering, bang, hefty shunts up as Domo unsighted then and nearly rolls it, as that will be 3, 4, 5 cars in there. They're going to have to call a safety car immediately out there. Yep. They're all going.
It's our version of Sebring. We were only replaying it in Discord before the broadcast got underway in the Pro Invitational for the Supercars in 2024. It's our Sebring, ladies and gentlemen. so many casualties caught up in that, and the totem pole on a pendulum at the moment, just yo-yoing all over the place. Zach Hanlon's making his way into pit lane. Sebastian Vandel, Sebastian Eskandari, they don't know just yet exactly what's unfolded. Tom Bewley, Rick Kuznetsov and Hayden Veld come through, and the safety car, as you say, has quite rightly been deployed.
Not yet, though, so they're still going. They're still waiting for it, if it's going to clear or not. I doubt it is, and they're going to have to call this one soon because Jacob O'Reilly is on the racing surface. Now the safety car has been called. So Eskandari had an eye on Vandel for the race lead, and he's been robbed of the chance to dive down the inside, so quite rightfully so. Safety car is deployed out there. It will be a chance to bring the field a little bit slower, and this will actually really hurt these drivers inside the front five. They've done the hard work. They caught the favourite on a gap, Damon Woods, and they've just allowed him back in because of that. It's just O'Reilly here working through turn 9. You can see he just catches the curb a little high. That causes the car to pivot into a slide, and at that point, pick your angle, and Simon Mazzomo says straight through.
And you have a little bit of sympathy, although the second shunt there, I think that might have been Corey Lazarus actually getting into the back of Simon Mesmo. That finished Mesmo off. Probably a couple of cars on the tow rope here out of all of that. But credit to these guys where it's due. I mean, cut them some slack if you're watching at home and thinking, hang on, they're just driving straight into the fire pit here. The margin, the reaction time, and the compromised vision, all added ingredients into why that ended up being as it was. Here's Simon Mesmo's viewpoint of it, ladies and gentlemen. This will illustrate exactly what we're talking about on the OG Gear replay here. As you can see, he's got the car in front immediately in his view. Bang. Arrives in front of the Vermilion car, unsighted. He had about half a second, if that, to play with Jake, and that was not enough to get out of the way.
No, absolutely not. And you've got to remember as well, they're travelling at speeds there of over 180 kilometres an hour going up through the gears. So they're up there at what is essentially a position of how much time do you have to get out of it. And you've got to remember as well, they've just come through a very long right-hander. If you put too much rotation trying to avoid it, the car's just going to completely load over to the right-hand side wall. It's an almost impossible situation here. So this is a little look here at how they go. You can see it on the dash, 180 kilometres an hour into the side of Jacob O'Reilly's Vermilion Esports Porsche 992 Cup car.
Impact. It'll be interesting to see what the casualty list looks like out of that. I dare say there would have been a few cars taking themselves straight back to pit lane. Remember, this is pro invitational racing, ladies and gentlemen, so unlike some leagues where you've got fast repairs at your disposal waiting for you when you get back to pit lane, now if you've got damage that hasn't declared your car a write-off, you need to go back to pit lane and sit there for the allocated number of laps and time that it's going to take for it to be repaired in the virtual world. So there is still an invoice to pay. It will rub out a few contenders. It'll rub out a few immediately, Jake, but then it'll also, and you can see there's already one car still parked there stranded, and drivers being advised to go to the right-hand side of the circuit around it as they follow the safety car, the GT4 Porsche Cayman safety car. And here's another viewpoint of the incident. This was the beginning of it and the aftermath. Just drivers going for gaps that weren't there, Jake.
Well, it's the fact that everyone's slowing up, trying to get through safely, and you'll get some drivers who try and pin it forward thinking they're Kimi Raikkonen at Spa, and ultimately what you'll find is you get these choke points as you go into a scenario like this, and they basically sit back and say, well, how am I supposed to get in through a situation like this? And that's why you see incidents like this just continuing on, even though that the accident's happening 10, 15 seconds after the initial burst point of what we've seen. There's your track conditions out there, next to no wind on a 22-degree track temperature. It is still bitterly cold, and look at how aggressive the weave is from Eskandari. I have never seen a full circuit weave quite like that.
No, that's exactly right, but look at it. It's universal right through the order at the moment. 5-second penalty for Denny Davison for his involvement in the incident. And they're all in sync with that, ladies and gentlemen. Weaving around as though it's, I guess, a rally trail, a rally stage on the streets of, well, pick a destination anywhere in the world at the moment, Jake. The world's your oyster with regards to that. But yeah, such aggression on the tyre weaving and swerving there in order to try and keep as much warmth in these tyres as possible. That will be a talking point.
Hayden.
When we get back, have a look at this on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. Hayden Vell drinking and eating on the go here, whilst also weaving and keeping the tyres warm. That'll be an interesting talking point, how long it takes the tyres to come back up to temperature when we get back racing, boys. No guarantee on how soon or long that's going to be of happening, based on the clean-up job required. So we know that there's a few contenders that have dropped right out completely, and there'll be others that'll be sitting on pit lane for a little while yet. So that will take away from the traffic on the circuit. But the big problem we've got, Jake, is that there's still over 30 cars out there, line astern when we go back to green, and the risk of what we've just seen happening again, it's high.
It is, but Sebastian Varndell is going to need to be very alert to how he wants to restart this. He's done very well, actually, it has to be said, through those first 3 laps, to stay at the front of the field, Zach, and keep his ground and keep his momentum. So when you're looking behind, we know how quick Eskandari was off the line from a standing start. Now the question is to test how good is the youngster when he gets the launch sorted off of a rolling start.
Exactly right. And can he maximise that cold tyre pace and speed that he's got off the restart, and then maintain it, Jake, when the tyres come up to temperature as well? We were talking earlier about different drivers, different setups, different preferences with regards to what we saw in qualifying. Now we've got to apply that methodology, that philosophy to race trim as well. Good news, ladies and gentlemen. Looks as though the safety car is about to peel off, and we're looking at a restart here this time by, and still there's going to be 17 laps to go at the line. We haven't even got to lap 7, which is the extra. We've got 6 extra laps in this race from what we saw in race 1. We haven't even got to the point of 16 laps to go yet. So it's strap in. It's going to be a long night.
Varndell now setting himself up. He knows he's got control of this field. He can choose to go in the middle. He can choose to go then off of the exit of the final corner. It's about how early he decides he wants this launch, and everyone in the train's going to be a little bit slower to it. Long old hole waiting for the Sud curve, and now he looks to try and pin the car down, and that responsibility well chosen here as he looks for the launch and looks to try and get the drive away. Very nice get-go then as he works on through. Antal Sabo in 6th position there. Oh, big trouble, bang! Hard into the wall there, left-hand side. That's a massive, massive shunt that's gone on through. Immediate incident out there for Eskandari, and that's the cold tyre for you.
And just when we were talking him up as well, can't help but feel like that's a little bit of a commentator's curse from us. Maybe our first one of the season. Antal Sabo under pressure here at the moment. He's got them pouncing on him left and right, looking for a way through. 3 wide on the run down to the hairpin. But with the exception of Eskandari, a pretty safe restart.
Yeah, safe, sorted, happy with the way that he's going about this right now. Bewley up to 3rd, Veld there 4th, then you got Sabo, Wood seen behind him, Brown, Rattray, White, Dylan, Shepherd right now in the scrap as they try and work through over towards turn number 8. Kuznetsov holding his 2nd place quite nicely, but a nice comfortable pass there. Shepherd leaving the room, and Rattray White then is there and happy with the position that is being held at this moment in time. Here's the OG Gear replay.
And he got the curb on the exit of turn 1 on the outside as well. So it was the bounce off the inside curb and safety car deployed. So exactly the same as race 1, Jake. We don't get a clean full lap of running before the 2nd safety car follows the 1st. So some continuity there between the 2 races. Yeah, very disappointing for Sebastian Eskandari. Just a little bit too greedy with that curb, you would think. It's had a negative reaction, but it's been that way all night, cold or hot tyres. How many times we've seen cars just respond differently, get a little bit too greedy on that curb. If you take just a smidgen bit too much of it, you paid the ultimate price. And what didn't help Eskandari there was he landed on the left-hand side, outside turn 1 ripple strip as well, and that jagged him back hard left from 180 degrees the other direction and straight back into the wall to right off the motor car. So disappointing end of the night for a guy that showed so much pace and potential.
Yeah, real shame, but ultimately you don't win races like these and you don't score points, Zach, on potential. You score them by finishing at the end of the race, and I think that's the critical thing that's got to be remembered, especially as this race holds twice the amount of points that you would find in race number 1 tonight.
It's interesting, isn't it? There's a little bit of a discrepancy there. We only go an extra 30k, but it's worth double the weight. So that'll be a talking point as well, placing an emphasis on making sure you finish the feature. If it all goes to the proverbial in the sprint, yeah, okay, not ideal either, but at least it's not the feature where, as you say, as opposed to the 67 points that were pocketed by Damon Woods, who's currently sitting 6th, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, and the more they have this race neutralised, the harder it makes his task of clawing his way back through the field, quite frankly. He picked up 67 points. He picked up 5 for pole position. He's currently on 72. He is the championship leader. That's clear. That's fact. But now there's 133 on the line here as well. 200 for the night, 200 for the round, 205 maximum if you manage to sweep the night like Damon Woods is on the cusp of doing. Yeah, it's a long way back if you score 0 points in this feature. Did that Vermilion car, the 92 there of Antal Sabo, just clip the wall whilst weaving?
Yes, and you saw that bounce up there over on 2 wheels there with that. So it's taking it to the nth degree. You get right to the side there. I'm not sure how much paint there of red and white has been scraped across the hallowed walls here around this Hockenheimring, but that is going to be a really awkward situation now, looking to try and navigate through with that. We'll get at least one more lap here behind the safety car, which is the Porsche 718 Clubman GT4 that is being piloted around here today. But critically, a chance to take stock on drivers who have gone through. Here's the replay. Look. Bang. Oh, perfect camera position for us on that there. Yeah, you did tag it. Not great for Antal Sabo, but people who have found ways to gain places here. Zach Kerr and Lockhart Brownlee up 9 respectively. Jackson Raihana started 43rd, Zach. He's 19th.
Yeah, and he had a point to prove after it all went downhill. He had good pace in race 1. It went downhill. He's worked his way through beautifully in only, well, what have we had? 3, maybe 4 full green racing laps. That's an impressive start from Raihana. Again, only an invited driver in this series, as a fill-in driver tonight. So he's not going to feature as a regular, but what a message to send, and making his rare opportunity count while he's here. Into 19th at the moment. Whatever he can salvage, he's been given a great opportunity to make further inroads here in the 3rd chapter of this race once the second safety car period comes to a close. The lights still flashing there, lap cars seeing their way by as they return to the circuit from pit lane. That's a magnificent start from Jackson Raihana, a guy that was due a little bit of luck last night, didn't get it, and now, of course, is enjoying the challenge as an open wheel specialist of trying to hone the craft of the tin top as well. There's a lot to be said about how different the 2 disciplines are.
There very much is. I want to go back to about 29th position right now. Get a look at car number 59. We haven't seen too much of him. He's been mired in the back of the pack there for Logitech G ODBM Orbit Drop Bear Motorsport. Scott Rankin out there at the moment. Look to get through. Always vocal, always chatty out there, but he knows a lot of work to do to jump up through this order. He'll be trying to eye up a very good restart out there, and he'll know that if they're restarting in around the middle of the track, his restart zone, Zach, is going to be, what, maybe just entering the old concourse?
You'd think so, yeah. I mean, at least he'll be up to speed by the time he hits the control line to start what will be lap 9 if we get lights out this time by, ladies and gentlemen. But again, it's a long road back from 29th. So, yep, he'll have that extra opportunity to get up to temperature and get up to speed. But the chance has gone begging to probably bag a top 10 result. But the chance is still there to maybe snag a top 20 if a bit of luck was to fall his way, and maybe some good racecraft as well, Jake. Here we are on board with Jackson Rayhana. Again, 24 positions gained in this race so far. A good comeback from him. Let's see if he can finish the job and actually see the checkered flag this time through.
Yeah, field under the control now of Sebastian Vandel as the Porsche Clubman safety car dives down into pit lane. The field now holds itself in the control of Sebastian Vandel with Rick Kuznetsov just behind. Tom Bewley will need a good launch here, will the Kiwi, as Hayden Veld and Antal Sabo are there 4th and 5th, and don't count out Damon Woods here in P6. Vandel looks like he's going to go in exactly the same place that he did earlier on in this race, and again gets a good launch, and they can communicate that at Vermilion, how to get a good restart sorted. You can't pass before the control line, but we're back underway here at the Hockenheimring, and it's a lot calmer this time through turn number 1 of the Ravenel curve. Up to Bernie Eccleston, side by side for the race lead. Rick Kuznetsov goes to the inside, puts one over on his teammate, says, have it, and now looks to try and run.
Brilliant restart. Oh, more trouble at the back this time for the 18. Down the back straight we go. Bewley hung out to dry there. Veld trying to wedge his way down the inside. And Antal Sabo as well, one of the 9.5 entries. That's Sam Muir, who we spoke to pre-race in the grid walk. Under threat, the 53, a bit of hip and shoulder there on the way through. Veld gets by on the inside of Vandel and displaces Bewley. Bewley back to 4, Veld on a charge now, trying to weave his way through and stop the Vermilion domination at the front.
Hold on to your hats, Hayden, there, as Vandel will get through. Back through goes Tom Bewley, and now here comes Antal Sabo to the mix, trying to bring himself in. Big defensive block from Vandel. Now there's a tag, and Veld's been tagged, and he's into the gravel as he just about avoids everybody else. He is dispatched off from the front group.
How lucky was Tom Bewley there as well. He got the little clip on the way through, but he was able to control the car. Otherwise, we could have had 2 drivers going for a passenger ride into the kitty litter on the entrance to the stadium section. So race control, a little bit more work to do there. Damon Woods helped by that, aided by that incident, because he's now moved up into 5th. His next target is Sabo, and Bewley still holding on to 3rd. Such drama off the restart, not for the first time tonight.
Zach Rattray White being very patient here. He's got Seth Brown in front who's giving focus, and that looks like a slow-down penalty for Dylan Shepherd, and he's got to be careful how he serves it as he goes up to the 30 Epsom curve. And look at Zach Rattray White here. The confidence, pushed out wide, shove him out wide. Tom Bewley, no love, no help, no support, and you're off the back of the train, 3 to 1. You can't quite see it on the angle. There he is, poking out wide, and now this is going to be the big move here for Damon Woods. He'll have to go to the outside, 3, almost 4, as they go into the Spitzkehrer. Lots of room given there, and I think he scared himself into the corner there. There's the right exit, no room left, and through the grass, Damon trying to return to circuit. Now here comes the likes of Seth Brown and Zach Rattray White. Almost a turn across the nose there, going to turn 8 for Antal Sabo. He holds on to it.
So in all of that, Damon Woods has lost 2 spots, back into 7th. Denny Davison picks up a drive-through penalty now, his 2nd penalty of the race. He picked up a 5-second penalty earlier as well. Lots of amendments to be made to the finishing results here once this race is won. Woods wedging down the inside, goes back to 6th, this time getting by Sabo. Oh, wow, Brock Gilchrist also getting up into 8th spot. He's trying to get up on the outside. That was important for Woods to just steady the nerves and settle after the incident down at the hairpin, and getting himself back into a rhythm. Hang on, Antal Sabo, we're being told, is going to pick up a black flag as well. So keep an eye out on that. Drive-through penalty handed to Sabo. So that releases him. Gilchrist and Shepherd will be the beneficiaries of that. Rick Kuznetsov, the fastest lap of the race, and clear air at the moment. Have a look at the way in which he's checked out, Jake. 2-3 seconds nearly to the good.
Yeah, needs the gap and needs to build it early here in this one as we head towards the halfway stage of this race. Rick knows that he is going to be trying to do everything he can to hold his ground. He was not the Messiah. He was a very naughty boy at Sebring earlier on with the supercars. But now down the inside, there's the lunge. But can you get the drive off the exit? Crossing back over. Bewley a little too deep there. Varndell wise to it and woke up to the fact that my job is simple now. I've lost the race lead, Zach. So my job is defend as if your life depends on it. Big shove by Bewley, but again, outside line, you open the steering, what are you gonna do? Suddenly you're stuck, it's like trying to get yourself out of Rosebush.
Yeah, exactly right. Impossible, nearly. And have a look at this. No margin for error, and good respect being shown between race drivers here up the outside. Zach Ratway wide, Tom Bewley and troubling around.
Oh, and it's really tough. He was holding on to the level of grip for as long as he possibly could. Careful on the rejoin, he's okay. But that promotes Damon Woods now up into 4th position on the back of Zach Ratway White, trying to find this move. And look at him. You can sense there is hunger, but look at the serenity on his face right now as he works over towards turn number 1. This is just any old race day for him.
Exactly right. So roles reversed here because Ratway White followed Woods through in heat 1. Now in heat 2, Woods is following Ratway White through. The next target is Sebastian Varndell. I don't think if this stays green for the next 11 laps, they're capable of catching Rick Kuznetsov at this point. An inch is as good as a mile. He's got 4 seconds up his sleeve at the moment, does Rick. Barring a mistake, barring a caution, he's not going to be touched for the balance of the night. There's Brock Gilchrist up on the outside, trying to make life difficult for Zach Ratway White now as well. So he wants to factor in the mix here. And he's going to try and do what Tom Bewley was unable to do last time through and get a job done around the outside. And he's done it very nicely on Seth Brown there to hold on to position number 5. So Brown back to 6th, and their next target is Zach Ratway White.
Yeah, so that's the next one. There's Lockhart Brownlee and Stefan McCartane here, who have both had good runs through this field. So they're looking around. White goes Dylan O'Keefe just behind as they start working over into the infield once again. And this final sector of the lap, which juxtaposes itself then. Defensive line taken by O'Keefe behind. Needed to for Harry Lawrence, who started 29th on the grid. And remember, Byron Pierce, through all of this, had the jump start, and so he still managed to keep himself with positions gained as far as that goes. This is all about focus, because Kuznetsov fastest lap, but at the mid-pack point, you really want to be trying to pick these up, even if you have a bad race 1. This is a chance, and a lot of these drivers in and around the top 20, they were starting 23rd, 27th, 30th, 39th, 43rd on the grid. This is their redemption races.
Absolutely. You mentioned Dylan O'Keefe. Already got himself back up into 13th spot. Marina Morales picking up a 15-second penalty post-race. Ryan Jones, who we spoke to pre-race as well, has got himself back up into the top 10. He's Seth Brown and Dylan Shepherd arguing over the same piece of real estate on the way down to turn 6 as well. Interesting to know. Oh, there's a little bit of a check-up on the exit of the hairpin, but all okay. Harry Ryan's back up into 13th. Dylan O'Keefe, there he is, on screen now. Reigning Porsche Carrera Cup champion. 14th spot at the moment. Good recovery drive this from 24th on the grid. Of course, the night started poorly outside the top 40 in qualifying. So, as Jake quite rightly said, redemption drive for him, and it's not done yet. Rick Kuznetsov out to a 4.3 second lead. Damon Woods has also got past Zach Ratway White. We didn't see that on screen, but now he's right there, nipping at the heels of Sebastian Varndell.
You can see the eagerness of trying to make this. He's up 7. He knows he wants to start chewing into that gap with 10 laps to go. If anyone can reel down a gap, it's Damon Woods. But for the moment, he's now got to try and get by the deputy here. And this is where Sebastian Varndell holds his ground quite nicely. He's not the quickest driver in the world, is Seb. He's done well to get himself up into the top 10, get that pole. But what his job is how difficult is it going to be for me to get by? You're going to have to surprise Seb in terms of making the move, or you're going to need to do it at the simplest place possible. Here's the run then out onto the Parabolica, as behind that Dylan O'Keefe dropping down the order. There goes Raihana up a place.
Another place gained for Jackson Rayhana, 27 now, up to 16th. So a firm chance of the top 15 here. Woods down the inside. The hairpin finds himself up into second spot. That'll be enough to consolidate round honours here if he stays there for the balance of the last 9 laps. Although, long way to go. Varndell won't want to rest on his laurels. He'll want to fight back and make Woods work for that second position. And maybe in the process, all that will do is give Rick Kuznetsov even more breathing space than what he's already got, out to 4.5 seconds now. Zach Ratway-White still has the fastest lap of the race. Can you believe it, Jake? We've actually gone a decent number of laps without intervention of the safety car.
Well, don't jinx us just yet, Zach, because there's still a lot of big battling that is out there here. You've got Stuart Ellis trying to bring himself into the party in the OPRX Gamma Flare Sim Racing Porsche 992.2. He sees as well behind him Ryan Jones up in that top 10. Zach Kerr, who's making good progress as well behind. They're all there, they're all getting themselves involved, and they know out of the Sud curve over towards the Ravenel curve, which used to be known as the Nord curve. It is about giving yourself opportunities here. It's the technical circuit. You've got to work hard out there, and changes behind there between Lockhart Brownlee and as well Stefan McCartane here. They're having a really good go at it right here in front of Harry Lawrence.
Riding on board with Harry Lawrence. Here's that opportunity for it. Oh, geez, they got very close to locking horns there. Did McCartan and Brownlee, and Lawrence wants to take full advantage of that. Bump drafting down the back straight towards the hairpin, but that's going to allow McCartan the opportunity under brakes to dive bomb the pair of them. Can he consolidate on the exit? Brownlee's hanging with him. We'll follow this all the way around to the to the arena section here, ladies and gentlemen. Brownlee in the right position. If he can go a little bit deeper under brakes. No, door trying to be slammed firmly shut in front of him. But Brownlee's done enough to wedge his way down the inside of McCartan and put McCartan back a spot.
Oh, not like that! Not like that! And there's the turn across, and you can see there the stare of daggers from Lockhart Brownlee at that one. He is not going to be pleased that he's been turned around in that manner. It was a case of leaving the nose on the inside, and that for Stefan McCartane, as far as I look at there, was late to the party.
Yeah, just a little bit, but we've seen more trouble. So the 144, that's Reece Wakefield in trouble again. Not for the first time we've seen him in the weeds tonight. How many times have you seen it though, Jake? These guys flirting with fine margins. They're working with less than, only by 5 or 6%, less than a car width, trying to execute overtaking opportunities. Yes, you've got to be aggressive, but you've got to rely on the other party to come to the fore and actually work with you on that, to actually use a little bit of discretion and open up the door. And it looked as though Brownlee might have been trying to close the door, and he's paid the price for that. So that's unfortunate. If they could have got through there 2x2, they would have still been 2x2 going into the stadium section, and then the onus would have been on who was on the inside coming up to the turn 13 hairpin, but not to be. And then more drama there. That was the replay of the 144. Reece Wakefield ending up in the wall. All on his own.
All on his own, kept it clean out of the way of everyone else, and so this one continues on. Worth noting here, 5-second penalty for Antal Sabo on top of what he's already served, and car 58, who's in third right now, Sebastian Varndell. Now this will be important in his race here with Zach Ratchray-White. He's been given an unsportsman black and white flag for moving under braking, so he will be very much looked at right now of, you have got to hold your line when you hit your left foot to the floor.
And how would you go about it if you're Zach Ratway-White? Yes, you know you're treading a tight rope there, as you aptly described it earlier. And if you're Sebastian Varndell, you know that he's nipping at the heels. You know he's already, being kept under watch by race control. It's going to be interesting to see how they go about it. Do you think big picture? Do you consolidate fourth and third respectively, take the points, walk away, and just think, it's round one, race 2 of a 26-race season? Or do you go for the glory of being on the podium of the opening night of the term? There's plenty of risk involved, but there's also plenty of reward to go with it as well, if you can do it cleanly.
Yeah, damage on the front for Zach Rattray White. You can see it there on the splitter there, that there is a tiny bit of damage. That will take a bit of front downforce away off of his Porsche 992 Cup car. But Varndell holds his ground nicely. It's a very clean car by comparison. You know as well, Brock Gilchrist started 17th. There's the look down the inside. Oh, he gets into the side of him, and there's the contact. Brock Gilchrist open up the doors, trying to go around the outside. He'll have to go around the outside of another corner now. Here as he'll look at turn 11, but Zach Rattray White pushes his way to the podium.
It'll be interesting to see what race control have to say about all of that. Brock Gilchrist nearly the beneficiary there, but I don't think he mastered the exit of the left-hander. A little bit of sideways movement there, which probably upset him and allowed Rattray White to get across and keep Gilchrist at bay for now. Dylan Shepherd impressive up in the 6th spot, and Seth Brown 7th, Stuart Ellis in 8th as we watch Varndell come back on to the main straight. Ellis, Kerr and Jones making up the top 10. So Jones has been floating around the back half of that top 10 for much of this third stint of this race as well. 5 laps to go as they head down towards turn number 2 and 3 once more. There's Rick Kuznetsov out to a 4-second advantage. Important to note, Damon Woods has just punched out the fastest lap of the race, Jake, but 4 seconds in 5 laps. It may even be a bridge too far, even for someone who's been the standard, the benchmark, all through the pre-season of the Porsche Pro Invitational, thanks to Moza Racing.
Yeah, so if you're only losing half a tenth, a couple tenths of a second a lap, that's a big enough gap. There's a look down the inside, and this will be on the Vermilion car. Zach Kerr, oh, he gets a push over there. Ryan Jones deciding he wants to have a look at what Stuart Ellis had to say there to Zach Kerr, and that just shows you there is no love lost between these drivers, and this is, I think, what you see from the Australian sim racing scene. You don't give an inch, because if you give an inch, you take about 3 kilometres.
Yeah, exactly. And you self damage, you know, the outcome for yourself more than anybody else. You cannot afford, you've got to put yourself first and foremost, and your teammates second, and everybody else is third and fourth and fifth. So they're finding that out very early on, which sets the standard for us for the rest of the season, Jake, in terms of the narrative to follow, the rivalries that'll form along the way. Plenty of storylines are going to evolve and emerge out of this first round of the season. Help us write the form guide for round 2. A lot of curbs still being taken there at turn 1. I'm still waiting for someone else to get hamburgered out of there. And, of course, some late race carnage here. We go back and find Marino Morella. Also got a post-race penalty coming his way. Jackson Rayhana sitting 17th at the moment. Dylan O'Keefe trying to go down the outside for 19th or 18th on Marino Morella. Not yet for Dylan, but nice to see him in the top 20.
Angus Lawford just behind with Antel Sabo, Scott Rankin in this group as well, Miles Burgess, they're all there. They're all starting to eye this up. I'll tell you what, top 20 for Scott. He'll be buzzing from ear to ear out there. This is the OG Gear replay. Big mistake there from car 73. Stuart Ellis just bailing out there of the Bernie Eccleston curve and basically forcing side by side. Now here's Brock Gilchrist now finding himself on the wrong side because Seb Varndell back through up into 4th position. You can't rest on your laurels around here as Seth Brown now sits and Dylan Shepherd, and they're all turning around thinking, well, we'll be top 10 in the championship as we come out of here, and we will say job very well done with that, pushing to the Sachs curve.
The main positive I'm taking out of all of this is we're actually seeing elbows out door-to-door racing right throughout the race. Porsche Racing over the course of time has had a tendency for the field to spread out, to become a little bit processional. We're not seeing that here at the moment, and that bodes well, particularly for circuits like Zandvoort and even the Nürburgring on this schedule, particularly in the top half of the season, boys, where, you know, the circuits are a little bit more technical, a little bit more challenging. There's not as much in the way of overtaking opportunities as there are at somewhere like Phillip Island or even the Mount Panorama circuit. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. But so far, only positives coming out of this opening round from the quality of the product, the spectacle, and the calibre of the racing we're seeing.
Defensive line taken by Gilchrist as he tries to figure out his line out there. Car 89 will be given a 5-second post-race penalty. That is Tom Bewley who ends up with that one. But at the moment, Gilchrist holding his ground well, but he needs to stay with Seb Varndale. He'll look at Seth Brown behind and realise here that there are big points to be had out there. These are those runs that you're just trying to get. Car 101 will also get 5 seconds then post. That'll be Sam Chapman who will end up with that. But you're turning around, you don't know what your point situation, your pace is going to be at the remaining rounds of the season. So are these drivers just looking at it, Zach, and going, I've got to take my points early because I don't know what I'm going to get later on this year?
Exactly right, and also take into consideration the guys that are missing on the grid tonight as well. What's to say that those circumstances, extenuating circumstances, whether at work commitments, illness, family commitments, whatever the case may be, might not fall upon one of these guys that are at the point end of the field right now. A night out of the rig costs them big time in the championship. Yes, I know we've only got 12 rounds to play with, Jake, but at the same time, you can't help life getting in the way and knowing the luck of some of these guys. It may just fall on a Porsche Pro Invitational night with thanks to Moza Racing. So get in, bank your points early, and then that way you're making allowances for things potentially going wrong on track or off track, compromising a round later in the season. So I like that point. It's going to be interesting to see where the mindset is for everybody. There will be a few of them that would have thought, yes, we'll win it on lap one, turn one of race one, and that wasn't the case.
Well, now Brock Gilchrist under pressure. Seth Brown, they're hitting each other on the straight here as they work into turn 7. Now who's the bravest here for turn 8? They're going to jam on the binders and try and get the run through and just trying to force a way out. And does Gilchrist then blink about like crazy? Yes, he does. And that will hold him steady. Brown having to lift for the unpredictability. And now Zach Kerr is going to be looking around with Dylan Shepherd. Shepherd is all over the back of Brown, looking to try and get involved.
This is not over yet. Down the inside, no room. No room. Shepherd looking for 6th. Brown looking to hold on to it. They've lost contact with Gilchrist, who's lost contact with Bratway, White and Varndell. So that part of the field starting to spread out a little bit. This is the main battle pack we're going to keep an eye on for the balance of the night. White flag flies here at the Hockenheimring. So Rick Kuznetsov is clear and comfortable.
He is. He's very clear right now with 3.3 seconds, but he can't afford to rest on that at the moment as Kerr, Shepherd and a slow Jack Widders over the line then. So he's had trouble through the final corner trying to get back up to speed. A shame for him as he works now forward. We focus back though on this group for top 5 honours out there. Gilchrist has got a bit of legs now and has been able to pull out about 3/4 tenths of a second. That's enough to chaperone off then the guard of turn 6, the Spitz carer, and then back along they'll be starting to think, right, there's not much that I can do to try and get back. This is going to be down to who can have a nice pop of things late on in this one. Over at turn number 8, I think Dylan Shepherd here is trying to line up maybe the Sachs curve as the last gasp place. You can go and make a move. You find yourself now looking at the basically the pot of diminishing returns right now at this stage, knowing that you are running out of time. No such worries though on the top of your screen for Rick Kuznetsov, because he knows that he has held off the best out there behind him, built the gap. No worries, out of the sud curve, it's Quick Rick that's got to go and get it done in race 2. Rick Kuznetsov has got the job done from 24th in qualifying to 9th and now to a win.
Magnificent drive, took the opportunity presented to him and ran with it beautifully. Well done, Rick Kuznetsov. Smashed the competition in the end. Phenomenal fight back from Damon Woods. Got boxed in, not helped by early safety cars, but it's a second. It's a very good night at the office for him. It's a round win on points. That'll be reflected in the updated leaderboard, which you'll see at the end of the night, ladies and gentlemen. That's pending, of course, all the post-race penalties that have to be applied here. So everything as we watch it wrap up on the opening night of the school year for the Moza Racing Porsche Pro Invitational is provisional. But all in all, hard to say that we've seen anything but the cream rise to the top here. Angus Lawford even doing a donut at the end there, happy with coming across the line in 20th. Vermilion will be happy with how it's played out, but so too will Damon Woods. Plenty of bad luck stories, plenty of hard luck stories emerging up and down the pit lane as well, Jake. But in the end, the form guide read pretty true in the grand scheme of things. You can't ask for much more than that. Can't wait for Spa, because when we get there, the gloves will be off. Everyone will have had 3 weeks to reset, regroup, refocus, and go again. A very different racetrack. One of the longer ones we tour on the calendar. Of course, the only longer circuit on the schedule is the Le Mans circuit in the south of France, the Circuit de la Sarthe. But that was a clinical performance from Rick Kuznetsov. And we'll talk about it all year, mate. When you look at the drivers that are involved in those invert situations, the opportunity that's presented to them when they're presented with clear air, first 2 rows to convert. And Rick Kuznetsov is one from one in that regard, and all credit to him.
Yeah, 41 minutes, 55 seconds. He crosses the line in. He wins by 3.1 over Damon Woods, 1 place shy of the perfect opening meeting for him. Zach Rattray-White, they will be very happy with 3rd position overall as Sebastian Varndell. He, for me, is my driver of that race because he did so well defending out there, and only some very quick drivers were able to get by him. Brock Gilchrist then is 5th ahead of Seth Brown and Dylan Shepherd, with Zach Kerr in 8th. Ryan Jones is 9th, and Stuart Ellis rounds out your top 10. We will look over the page in 11th, where Tom Bewley finds himself for Momentum Racing. Hugo Allen from 30th all the way up to 12th. What a wonderful drive he had in that race with Harry Lawrence, Byron Pierce, and Stefan McCartey. You've then got Marino Morella there in 16th, your biggest mover in that second race. Jackson Raihana, 43rd to 17th, a gain of 26. He will then see Dylan O'Keefe, the Porsche Carrera Cup Australia champion, directly behind him for DPR Racing, as Antal Sabo finishes 19th, and Angus Lawford rounding out your top 20 for Project 36. Over the page again, you find Scott Rankin, then the scaife of Australian sim racing. He finds himself there 21st with Hayden Bell 22nd. Miles Burgess and Corey Lazarus 23rd and 24th, with Hayden Smith rounding out the 25. Dean Mackay recovering back after his early crash in the first race to 26th. Lockhart Brownlee, Jack Widders, they're both down there. Jordan Malcolm and Sam Muir making up 30. We only had 35 finishers here in this one on the leading lap. So Sam Chapman, Reese Wakefield, Kane Ryder, Ewan Baker and Pat Klein managed that all in the guise of getting a good run through. Simon Mazzomo under the watchful eye of Jim Clark. Of course, this is the final resting place of the legendary 2-time Formula One world champion. Will be 2 laps down in 36th. Zach Hanlin, Danny Davidson, Lewis Greathead, they are laps down along with Luke Swan. And then over to the final page where you see confirmed retirees being Jed Van Hemert, Josh Perwin, Sebastian Eskandari off the restart, Ben Pedersen, and then Jacob O'Reilly, that massive shunt up, making all of the difference out there overall. We have the chance to chat with some of our drivers. Let's get the winner in and playing forward from the number 83 out here to join with us right now. It is a wonderful drive for Rick Kuznetsov, and hopefully we'll get him in the next couple of moments here to have a chat with us. Rick, that goes to show just how good of a race too you have been able to have. You were on the back foot from qualifying and trying to work your way up. You got to the invert and you had yourself a very good opportunity to jump through after the final restart and then build the gap as Seb defended like a lion for you.
Seb did a wonderful job. I'm going to give him a B after this, but yeah, after the pretty horrendous qualifying, I was pretty bummed about it because I knew the car was really fast from Pracky. I was just trying to get into at least the top 10 in race 1 and to give me a better shot for race 2. And we just able to get through all the traffic and the crashes. And then, yeah, it was just all about holding off Damo because I knew Damo was so fast. But I was just trying to keep the lines clean, and we managed in the end.
So as far as this goes for you, as we just get word that Zach Rattray-White is going to get dinged with a post-race drive-through. So that's going to really drop him down the order and promote your teammate up to 3rd. As far as this season goes for you, how critical is it for you now to take this victory here in race 2, put the building blocks together, and now set yourself up for Spa in 3 weeks?
Yeah, it's definitely the momentum we need for to start the season. I mean, you can't really get a better start than this. So just take the momentum for race 2 and the whole season really, and try to probably now the quality. I think quality I'm struggling a bit with just getting that lap sorted, but this is a really good confidence boost for the season.
Well, that confidence, we hope, will run with you. Rick Kuznetsov there joining us in the 83 Vermilion Esports Porsche 992.2, getting the big job done. Zach Cabin, I believe you've walked down the virtual paddock, and I believe you're standing by waiting with car number 56 out there, who was almost flawless, but just not quite. Damon Woods.
Yeah, exactly right, Jake. Thank you very much for that. Damon Woods, good evening to you. Can't ask for much more than that, mate. Got boxed a little bit there in that second race, but did your level best to get back through the field to salvage second in the end. By the time you got clear air, unfortunately, Rick was just a little bit too far up the road, mate. But well done on the pole position. Well done on the race 1 win. Talk us through the night that was and what the plan of attack was for race 2, knowing full well that you had to get past some pretty good operators if you wanted clear air.
Yeah, I mean, the quali lap was pretty good. I mean, I did it without a toe, so that shows the pace that we had. Lap was pretty dull, and I think I made like a slight mistake in the last sector where realistically I could have probably done a 0.5, but that was me maxed out for the quali session. So yeah, I mean, you can't start a season off any better, and an extra 5 points for the quali as well, which is good. And then yeah, obviously went into race 1 with the expectation of just leave it at the front and just maintain the pace of the race and control the gap. And it was a safety car fest, I can't lie, but I mean it sort of worked in our favor. We felt that we probably had the pace to pull away and maintain a solid gap over the field, but in the end it didn't really matter. But yeah, then going towards race 2, I knew it was going to be absolute fisticuffs. It showed straight away. Some of the driving standards were absolutely appalling from guys that I think should be held to a much higher regard. I'm not going to name names, obviously, but I think there needs to be a stern talking to from race control down to those guys, especially with some of their reputations that they hold. So that's my opinion on that. I mean, my race, I was just getting boxed around, but I kept the car relatively clean, got a little bit of damage on the front end. So yeah, it was more just make sure that I don't detonate the car at a hairpin or something like that, and just sort my way through. I knew I had the race pace, and it showed at the end as well. Able to bring the gap down from 5 seconds to 3.1 to Rick. So we know the car pace is there, especially amongst the other the other Eclipse boys. It's just we got to be able to put it together. And with the top 10 invert, I think there's going to be a lot of unhappy drivers in terms of championship standings just because of the nature of it. So that is what it is. In the end, we still bagged the good results. So I can't really complain about that.
Mate, loving the passion coming from you at this time of the night after what was no doubt a pressure cooker night in the cockpit. You seemed a little bit surprised by it being a safety car fest. Do you think that's going to be one of the main talking points, one of the main factors we have to contend with working through this championship, knowing that it's sprint racing all year long through 12 rounds?
Look, to be honest, I didn't really. I mean, I guess this round's probably the one where I kind of expected it to be the most, just because it's a new series, new car for people, and Hockenheim's obviously got the pinch point of the hairpin, so that's always going to cause carnage. But I mean, looking at some of the other tracks on the calendar, I realistically think it should be pretty easy to not have safety cars every 2 laps. But in the end, with a 45 car grid and with some egos that were absolutely flaring, I think it's understandable why we had so many. But I think again, we really should be doing a lot better than that. But in the end, it's the nature of the car. It's pack racing with how the draft model is, and you can get away with a bit of door banging. So yeah, it's not unexpected, but I think it should be a lot less than what we saw.
I shudder to think how Jake and I are going to fill the time if we have a safety car deployment at Le Mans, for instance. However, let's hope that doesn't happen, mate. Last year, we took the GT Pro Invitational series to Spa. It was a safety car fest over 3 hours, mate. But in the end, you guys and your stable at the time were the pace setters, the benchmark. Can you carry over the form that you've shown through the pre-season into tonight into Spa in 3 weeks' time, and what are your initial thoughts on how this car might fare on that circuit?
The race is going to be even more mental in terms of the packs that are going to be formed, just because obviously you got the run from La Source all the way down to Kemmel and even exiting Stavoy all the way to the bus stop. But with GT Pro last year, I think it was a case of everyone getting used to the cold tyres on the GT3 car, which was causing so many safety cars. Where this it's still a little bit more sensitive, but it's not to the point where if you gas the thing up too hard, you're going to loop the car and run it off in the fence. So I think it should be a little bit better. I mean, I like Spa. I've always gone well there in GT cars. So if we can build an absolute cracker setup, I think we should be on for some heaters, and hopefully we can put ourselves back up the front.
All right, mate. Very nice to hear from you. Always good to catch up. Well done again tonight. Look forward to seeing what you bring to the rest of the championship. You are the form guide favourite going into the season. You proved why tonight. Anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Big thanks to the boys at Eclipse. They helped me out with the setup for this round. Also, shout out to Falcon Sim Racing and our sponsors NGK, NTK, and iLiveries as well. Can't thank them enough for having me on board. It's my 4th year with them now, so it's going on a fair while, but it's a nice, happy relationship. So yeah, big thanks to those boys, and obviously you guys in the comms box, and Jake for doing the directing as well. So big thanks. We'll see how we go next round.
Well, mate, great to catch up with you. There he is, Damon Woods, ladies and gentlemen. Let's quickly move back to Jake, who's got Sebastian Vandel standing by. He was a little bit late to fashionably late to the broadcast booth, but it's nice to have him here, Jake.
Yeah, absolutely, Seb. It's a case of second-hand champagne for you with this podium, so you can be very happy in that regard. But talk about the pressure of starting on pole on a feature race like this one, 22 laps, the entire field wanting to have your position out there, and how much defensive work you had to do tonight.
Definitely a lot of defensive work done, but starting off pole, obviously a lot of pressure, but 2 teammates behind me made it a lot better, to be honest. So yeah.
The confidence certainly there. So talk us through then the ups and downs for you over the race. You pretty much made as many places as your teammate Rick did in race 1, and you're having to go through this constant stop-start momentum. How do you keep your focus? How do you get switched on? How do you find those places as you're going through the various elements of, okay, gearing yourself up and then calming yourself down?
I don't know, to be honest. It is quite difficult just to stay concentrated, but I think just once you get yourself in the zone, with the Discord's quiet, it's easy to stay concentrated, and yeah.
Do you think you're going to find very similar results when you head to Spa? Is it a circuit that sort of gels with you, or is it one that maybe you're just looking at saying, I'm going to try and get just the best that I can from it?
Yeah, similar tonight, just try to get the best that I can. I hope we can keep this form up, but I got a little bit lucky tonight, obviously with the reverse top 10, and the pace wasn't 100% there with Rick, Damo, Zach, and all that. So we'll see what we can do, but we'll give it a red hot crack at Spa.
Well, we'll wish you the best of luck then over there. Sebastian Vandel getting 3rd position overall. As far as our housekeeping duties are to go, the V8 Pro Invitational Series will be jumping over to Road Atlanta on the 29th of April. That will be a sprint round there, and it's always fun when you see that. You can catch that from 7:45 p.m. Australian Eastern to get yourself in on to play with that. Over in the sprint cars out there will be at Huset Speedway, then looking to set themselves up. That is not a million miles away. You're just 7 days removed from that here with us, and that is going to be some lightning fast dirt action that'll be taking its control. And then, Zach, we do have to talk about where we are going to be next in 3 weeks' time. The home of Liège, Bastogne Liège, the great cycling monument. This is Spa, the legendary all-around circuit.
Yeah, exactly right, mate. 7,004 metres of legendary real estate, and it's ours to play with on the 22nd of April, 7:45 Australian Eastern Standard Time. So make a note if you're watching outside of Australia that this part of the world, daylight saving ends this Sunday morning. morning, Easter Sunday, and happy Easter to everybody in advance too, by the way. So that'll be GMT plus 10, so 9:45 a.m. in the morning if you're watching on GMT time. You can make your own calculations from there. This is going to be a magnificent round, mate. It is in the Alps, of course. We expect weather to play its part in some way, shape or form. Bring it on. I'm looking forward to it. And what we've seen tonight sets us up beautifully for what's to come over the next 11 rounds. 24 races still to come. Already some rivalries forming, some hostilities brewing, of course. It'll be interesting to see. There's plenty of revenge to be sought from within the field with certain individuals that they may have come into contact with tonight throughout the course of the two races. Jake, it'll be interesting to see how revenge is sought, and let's hope it's cleanly, of course, and let's hope that the on-track pace will do the talking for these guys. Phenomenal performance from Damon Woods in terms of wrapping it up from my end, mate. That was a brilliant clinical start of the season for him. Damage control, obviously, in that second race, and I dare say that'll be the way everyone goes about their business in those invert situations throughout the course of the season, because at the end of the day, you've got to think bigger picture, and that is consistency wins championships. You can't get much more consistent than what Damon Woods stitched up tonight.
We certainly do. I would say it's not as hilly as the Alps. It is the Belgian Ardennes after all, but it is going to be absolutely fun to see that in 3 weeks' time. A massive thanks to the team then over at the Australian Sim Racing Group for putting this together, from Zach Cabin alongside me, Jay Kennedy, who has been behind the cameras here for this one. The Moza Racing Porsche Pro Invitational has brought itself into life with these first two rounds, and everybody knows that they wanted a good result here at round one. This was hard fought for. This was a case of pick yourself through the wreckage and see who comes out smelling of roses. We know that Rick was quick, but out there is a clear trend setter out there, and everybody lost behind Damon Woods because they know that it's car 56 from Falcon Sim Racing that's the biggest challenger, the biggest pace setter, and the yardstick that everyone will now need to follow to Spa.
Hi, my name's Courtney Prince, and last year I competed in Porsche Carrera Cup with BWT. Today I've been on the Sims with the OG race gear. I love the new gloves. They're really breathable and awesome, so you don't get sweaty hands using your normal race gloves on the Sim. The socks are also really good. You don't get sore feet on the Sim. I also think in training they'll be really handy as well.